Larry is a college professor. He gives his worst student, Mike, a task to write an essay within a week. 7 days later, Mike sends Larry a message begging him to postpone the deadline for 3 days. Larry agrees. 3 days later, Larry claims the essay, but now Mike asks for a 5-day delay. Larry is very kind, so this time he agrees too. 5 days later, Mike shows Larry a burning candle and says, "Sir, can you please postpone the deadline till this candle wick burns out?" Larry laughs and agrees. Mike laughs too, because now he can forget about submitting the essay. Why? Mike blew out the candle. He said, "Till this candle wick burns out," not "till this flame burns out." So now, Mike can keep his candle unburned forever and never submit his essay. Larry brings 3 boxes of cupcakes to the college kitchen. He leaves them on the table to celebrate his birthday with coworkers after classes. All boxes have different sizes, but each contains 3 cupcakes. Meanwhile, Mike enters the kitchen. He opens one box and eats 3 cupcakes. After classes, Larry finds out that every box in the kitchen still has 3 cupcakes. How is that possible? Mike ate cupcakes from the largest box, and then he put a smaller box into the empty box. So when Larry opened the remaining 2 boxes, each of them still had 3 cupcakes. After classes, Mike invites Wendy on a date.
Hello.
Since they're both broke, they decided to take a bus ride and then walk back. The bus speed is 9 miles per hour, and the guy's walking speed is 3 miles per hour. What's the maximum distance they could ride on the bus if they must come back in 8 hours? Mike and Wendy can move on a bus 3 times as fast as they can walk. Therefore, they should spend 3/4 of their time walking and only 1/4 on a bus ride. So to fit into the 8-hour limit, they should ride for 2 hours, going 18 miles, and then walk back in 6 hours. Mike and Wendy are walking down the street and notice one very curious thing. It has 3 eyes and all are in a straight line. When its red eye opens, everything freezes. Can you guess what they see? A stoplight. Mike returns to the student dormitory to find out his entire food supply is gone. He questioned 3 people. Can you guess who ate his food? The guy on the right. He has crumbs on his mustache. Mike goes to the library to study archival newspapers. This newspaper is supposed to have 60 pages, but pages 24 and 41 are missing. Can you guess which other pages won't be there too? Pages 19, 20, 23, 37, 38, and 42 will also be missing. Mike finds a note inside the newspaper. There's a secret maze in the library, leading to amazing treasures. The note shows this map. Can you help Mike walk this path correctly? Here's the right way. Mike walks through the maze and finds this bookcase. One of the shelves is fake. Can you spot which one? This shelf is fake. Books on the other shelves are covered with dust and cobwebs. But these books are clean and the cobwebs around them are torn. Mike finds a secret room behind the fake bookshelf. He enters the room and finds a big safe and this weird note nearby. The safe is locked, and Mike needs to enter a 9-letter password to open it. Can you help him crack the code? The correct password is Moonlight, and here's why. Take a look at the hint note. All Mike needs to do is to use the corresponding number letter of each word. The first letter in the maze is M. The third letter in looks is O, and the second letter in roses is also O, and so on. Mike opens the safe and finds 3 identical gemstones and a note. Suddenly, the door to the secret room slams shut and the walls begin to shrink. Mike reads the note. Only one of these diamonds is real. Find it and put it into the lock. You only have 15 seconds. Good luck. Oh no. Can you help Mike spot the fake diamonds? Mike should drop all 3 stones into this glass of water on the table. If the diamond is real, it will drop to the bottom of the glass thanks to its high density. And if it's a fake, it will float on the surface. Mike succeeds and unlocks the door, leading to a secret hallway. He walks through the hallway and sees 4 doors and a beautiful statue in the middle of the space. The statue sings, "We came out at night without being called. We disappeared by morning without being stolen. Who are we?" Can you guess which door Mike should enter? The song has a hint for Mike. The statue is singing about stars. Therefore, Mike should choose the door decorated with stars. Mike enters the next room and meets a queen. She says, "Hello, stranger. I have a task for you. If you succeed, I'm gonna reward you with wealth and fame. But if you fail, you'll stay here forever as my prisoner. I want to renovate my kingdom so that all my 10 castles are connected through 5 straight walls. And each wall must connect 4 castles together. Also, at least one of the castles should be protected with walls." Then, the queen shows him this picture and continues, "My royal architect failed to give any solution that meets all my wishes, but he suggested this plan. Do you have a better idea?" Mike should offer this solution to please the queen. Now 2 castles are protected with walls. The queen kept her word and made Mike very rich. Also, she threw a feast in his honor. Unfortunately, not all royal servants are glad to see their queen with a new favorite. Take a look at these 3 people. Can you spot Mike's hater? Although this friendly-looking lord gives Mike a bag of gold coins, there's a snake hiding inside his gift. Mike is observing the royal garden. He sees 3 lemon trees. Each of them has exactly 10 lemons. The gardener comes over and picks 4 oranges from each tree. Can you calculate the number of fruits left on the lemon trees? Oranges don't grow on lemon trees. The queen tells Mike an amazing story. "I'm fond of dragon racing. On Sunday, I rode to see a race in a cozy village outside of my kingdom. 5 days later, on Monday, I went home." Can you explain this, considering that she doesn't have a time machine? Sunday is the name of her dragon. Mike likes the kingdom very much, but it's time to go home. The queen gives him 3,000 gemstones the size of a watermelon. He rents a truck to carry them home. Mike's current location is 1,000 miles away from home. Unfortunately, the truck can only carry 1,000 gemstones at once. Also, there's a check post on every mile till home. Each post requires all drivers to pay with 1 gemstone while traveling towards Mike's hometown. But the road is free of charge while traveling towards the kingdom. Can you figure out a way to bring the highest possible number of gems to Mike's hometown? Mike should make 3 trips of 1,000 gemstones each till mile 333. After that, he will be left with 2,001 gemstones and have 667 more miles to go. At this point, he should take 2 trips of 1,000 gemstones, covering 500 miles more. This way, he will be left with 1,000 gemstones. After riding the remaining 167 miles, Mike will be left with 833 gems. And he'll still be rich and fabulous. Alan is a famous scientist. He invented a special potion that awakens superpowers in humans. One night, he was having a secret Zoom conference with his colleagues. Alan's assistant, Betty, entered the office and brought him some coffee. In a while, Alan said goodbye to his colleagues and fired Betty. Why? She poured poison into his mug. Alan saw her reactions because the front camera on his laptop was working. Later that day, Alan went to the basement where he kept his secret invention. Unfortunately, someone broke into his safe and stole the potion. Alan interrogated 3 of his co-workers in the building. Will said, "Sorry, bro, I've spent the last 24 hours watching rats for my research." Peter said, "I didn't even know they had a basement. You're full of surprises, man." And Diana said, "I think we heard weird noises from your office 2 hours ago." Who stole the potion? Peter. Take a look at his legs. He's levitating. When Peter was exposed, he took off into the sky and escaped. Alan headed to the parking lot, but someone had stolen his car. He called the police and found it across the street. The thief hit a tree and escaped. The police interviewed 3 suspects. Lily said, "I'm a courier. I came here to deliver food for the lab workers." Nina said, "I'm from a cleaning company. I'm here to clean, not steal cars." Bob said, "I parked my car to get some coffee. I didn't see any crimes." Can you guess who stole the car? Nina. Look at her watch. It's broken. And the black glass fragments are still in the car. Alan came home. Someone broke into his house and stole a laptop with secret information. Alan interrogated 3 of his neighbors. Rosie said, "You might think I'm crazy, but I saw a flying man outside your house." Nick said, "I spent all day in the garden picking apples. I didn't see anything suspicious." And Zoe said, "I was at a shopping mall with a friend and just arrived." Who lied? Zoe said that she had been shopping but didn't carry any bags. Suspicious, but possible. Meanwhile, Nick said that he'd been picking apples, but all the apples in the garden are still on the trees. So the liar is Nick. Alan went to the airport to take a flight to Argentina. He wanted to consult with his colleagues about Peter, but there were a lot of people who wanted to fly away too. Online booking stopped working, so there was a long queue. Alan is the 20th from the bottom in a line of 100 passengers. What's his position at the top of the queue? The position of passengers standing higher in the queue is 100 minus 20 equals 80. Therefore, Alan's position from the top is 80 plus 1 equals 81. After purchasing a ticket, Alan headed to the public toilet. A woman stopped him at the entrance and said, "Sir, can you please tell my husband to hurry up? His boss is calling him and it's urgent." Alan agreed, went into the toilet and looked at the stalls. He found the woman's husband right away just by looking at his feet. What about you? The guy on the left is her husband. They have similar tattoos. Finally, Alan got on a plane and flew from New York to Argentina. It took him 10.5 hours to reach the final destination. After spending 3 days in Argentina, Alan flew back home. However, it took 630 minutes this time, even though the plane flew at the same speed. Can you guess why? 10.5 hours are the same as 630 minutes. After getting home, Alan noticed Peter running away through the backyard. Alan followed him, but Peter was too fast. Suddenly, Alan saw his motorbike in the parking lot. He questioned 4 people standing nearby. "Hey guys, whose motorbike is this? I need to borrow it." But all 4 people replied, "It's mine." Alan took a closer look at the vehicle and quickly figured out the owner. What about you? The third guy is the owner. He's the only person who's not wearing or holding a helmet. His helmet is attached to the bike. Alan hit the road. He wanted to get to his lab to make an antidote for Peter as soon as possible. There are 4 possible ways to get there. Can you guess which way is the shortest? The 4th one. The trick to solving this maze quickly is to start drawing from the end. Someone filled Alan's lab with sleeping gas. He passed out and woke up in a creepy basement. Alan found 4 doors leading outside. He has only one chance to escape. He won't be able to use the doors again. Behind the first door, there's a water-filled room swarming with sharks. The second door leads to the room filled with a spider's web. The third door hides a space where scorpions are falling from the ceiling. And the 4th door is hiding hungry lions. Which door is more or less safe to enter? Alan should choose the second door. Although crawling through spiderwebs might be gross, he'll be okay. Alan arrived at Peter's house. Peter lives with 2 roommates, his friend Sam and his brother George. Can you guess which one of these bedrooms belongs to Peter? George is the only one who's holding a laptop in his hands. Therefore, his bedroom is the first room that doesn't have a laptop. See this pillow with red hair in the 3rd room? It looks just like Sam's hair color, so it's probably his bedroom. Therefore, Peter lives in the 2nd room. Peter apologized to Alan for stealing his invention and asked him not to call the police. Alan offered Peter to play a game. He gave Peter 100 pills, 50 red and 50 blue, and 2 empty boxes. Alan said, "I will leave the room for a while, and I'll need you to place all the pills in 2 boxes. When I come back, I'll draw a pill from any of the 2 boxes, and if the pill's blue, I'll forgive you. Keep in mind that no box can be empty, and you gotta place all 100 pills in one of the 2 boxes. Good luck." How can Peter raise his chances of winning? He should put 1 blue pill in 1 box and the other 99 pills in the 2nd box. This way, the chances are 50-50. The next day, Alan decided to explore an abandoned hospital. 1 week ago, the locals reported some strange sounds coming from this house, and some people saw a ghost wearing a wedding dress. As soon as he entered the building, he heard screams from the attic. Alan walked upstairs and found a wedding dress in a closet nearby. The music speaker replayed creepy sounds over and over again. Alan found 3 neighbors and asked them one similar question. "What did you do 1 week ago?" Chuck said, "I was on a business trip in London for a month. I came back today." Sarah said, "This dress is not mine. I got married in a red one. It suits me much more." And Wendy said, "I'm a doctor. I had many duties in the hospital that day." Who's lying? Sarah. Alan didn't mention the dress, but she started making excuses anyway. Peter was fond of collecting rare coins. When he was 20 years old, he bought a special box to collect his coins. On his every birthday, he put 250 coins in the box. Meanwhile, his sister, who was also fond of collecting coins, took out 50 coins from Peter's box on her birthday. Peter was very surprised at his 60th anniversary when he opened his box. There were only 500 coins inside. How can this be possible? Peter was born on February 29th. Thus, he put 250 coins every 4 years. In 40 years, he put the coins in only 10 times, making a total of 2,500 coins. His sister was born on any other day, and she took out 50 coins from the box 40 times, which means she took out 2,000 items. Therefore, after 40 years, Peter's box only had 500 coins. I have some more riddles for you today. Let's start with the easy ones for a warm-up. Can you find the odd one out? Yep, here it is. Here's another one. Find an odd one out here then. Perfect, here it is. How about this one? Right here. Did you find it? And it's getting harder. What about the odd one out here? Look, it's this one. All the other hands are the right ones, and this one is the only left hand. Now I'll show you two pictures. Your task is to find 5 differences between them. Ready? Here they are. How many did you spot? Let's do it one more time. Find 5 differences here. Keep your eyes wide open. So did you manage to do it? I think you're now prepared for more hardcore tasks. Let's start with decoding. Detective Callum has been searching for a missing girl, Riley, for 3 weeks. He was in his office going through the case for the 100th time when he got an anonymous email saying, "Can you guess what's written here?" It's just written in reverse order. If you read it from right to left, the message turns into, "The girl is in a hidden room beneath the Central Cafe. Bring $500 and I will tell you the passcode." Someone robbed a bank, and Detective Callum was leading the investigation. There were 2 robbers, but the police managed to catch only one of them, Dante. Dante refused to name his accomplice, but the police had 3 suspects, Bree, Ivory, and Ronan. Detective Callum took a brief look at them and knew exactly who the second robber was. Who was it, and how did he know? It's Ivory. Look, she has the exact same tattoo on her wrist as Dante. Holland went to work and asked her boyfriend, Kyler, to walk the dog. Kyler agreed, but then his friend called him and suggested to come over to play a new video game. So, Kyler decided to skip the dog walk and went straight to his friends. Holland and he met right outside the house when they were both going back home. Kyler said that he'd walked the dog and then went to play with his friend. But Holland knew that he was lying. How? It's winter. So just look at the footprints. There are Holland's footprints on the snow going both ways, and Kyler's footprints going both ways too, but there are no footprints of the dog. Someone in a little town was stealing bicycles. Every time someone's bike was stolen, the owner would find a business card with 2 emojis printed on it. The police had 3 main suspects, Ocean Walker, Rebecca Smith, and Damian Jones. Who is the robber? The emojis signify the name. They are a wave and a person walking, so the robber must be Mr. Ocean Walker. On Wednesday, after a break, Nash came to his desk and found a short love note written in red ink. It wasn't signed, but Nash had 3 girls in mind, so he asked each of them if she had written him the note. Layla said that she'd been chatting with her friends and didn't write any notes. Dawn said that she was busy all break finishing her homework. Oakley said that she had been in the bathroom and had just come back. Who do you think wrote the note? Look, Oakley's hands are covered in ink. It's blue ink, but still. If she really was in the bathroom, her hands would be clean. So she must be lying, and she must be the one who wrote that note. Adley was kidnapped and woke up in a dungeon. There were 3 ways out, but they all looked dangerous. Behind one door, there were many little robots that were ready to attack her. Behind the second door, there were 3 trained tigers. Behind the third door, there were 3 big and very hungry dogs. Which way should Adley choose to get out safely? The best choice must be the first door. Although they're robots, they're still super small and probably can't cause her much harm. Right before a restaurant was about to open, someone had stolen all the money from the cashier's desk. A cook said that he was working in the kitchen and didn't have any free time. The security guy said that he was in the bathroom and didn't see anything. The waiter said that there was a suspicious visitor peeking around. Who do you think stole the money? The restaurant was still closed and there couldn't be any visitors, so the waiter must have lied and is probably guilty. Ned works in a club, and his job is to check people's ID cards and not to let suspicious people or folks under 21 in. Take a look at ID cards and help him decide if he can let each visitor in or not. Here's the first one. What do you think? She seems fine. Let her in. Okay, here's the next visitor. What do you say? June 31st does not exist. There are just 30 days in June, so nope. What about this guy? Something is wrong once again. Even though February 29th theoretically exists, there was no February 29th in 1977. It's every year that can be divided by 4. Okay, what do you think about this girl? I don't see anything suspicious about her. Here's another candidate for the club. What do you think? Well, he is 22, and he seems fine to me. Let him in. A student was having an oral chemistry exam and was struggling with his last task. His professor decided to help him and have some fun, so he said that instead of the task, the student could guess his daughter's name. He only had one guess, but there was a hint. He wrote down several numbers: 32, 10, 14, 16. What's the professor's daughter's name? It's a chemistry class and chemistry professor, so there must be something related to chemistry. Look, there's even a periodic table in the background to help you. The 32nd element is germanium, or Ge, and the 10th one is neon, or Ne, and the 14th one is silicon, or Si, and finally, the 16th element is sulfur, or S. Together, they form the name Genesis. A bank was robbed, but they couldn't find the robber. A week later, at night, Detective Callum woke up from a call from a local shop's owner. He said that he found the money under his terrace. Detective Callum arrived, but there was only half of the money stolen. The man said that he had seen a man by his shop a week ago. It was a full moon, so he could see that the man had red hair and was wearing a dark hoodie. Still, the shop owner was arrested. Why? The shop owner said it was a full moon a week ago, but look, it's a full moon right now, so the man must be lying about something. In history class, students were asked to prepare a presentation about their ancestors. Edwin told about his great-great-grandpa who moved to New York and started as a salesman and then built a huge business. He even showed a photograph of his young grandpa in New York, but no one believed Edwin's story. Why? Even though the picture is black and white and looks old, Old New York looks very much like modern New York, with dozens of skyscrapers. The class noticed and figured out that it definitely wasn't a real photo. Royce called the police and reported that someone had robbed his house. Detective Callum arrived and asked Royce to tell exactly what happened. Royce said that he had walked into his room and saw someone getting out of the window. It was still open because Royce didn't care to close it or touch anything before the police arrived. He checked his wardrobe and found that his savings had been stolen. Detective Callum closed the case. Why? The robber couldn't go out the window without stepping on the bed, but the bed is perfectly made, so it looks like no one was leaving through the window. Kaya was studying in the library. She went to the bathroom and left her things on the desk. When she returned, she found that her wallet had been stolen. She called the police and they interrogated the 3 students who were also in the library. Andre said that he had left the library right after Kaya to get a drink from the vending machine and hadn't touched any of her things. Poppy said that she was studying the whole time and not paying attention to anything. Rhea said that she was in the other part of the library looking for a book she needed and hadn't seen anything suspicious either. Who stole the wallet? It was Andre. He said that he had left to get a drink in a vending machine, but look, there's no drinks in the vending machine, only snacks. A young man named Colton was living with his best friend Cassidy. One morning, he called the police because Cassidy wasn't breathing. He said that he'd been working all day and had returned home late, so he hadn't seen her or talked to her for over a day. In the morning, he found her in bed like that. Last night, Cassidy had a headache and had to take many pills, so maybe that was the reason. Colton was immediately arrested. Why? Colton obviously didn't communicate with Cassidy, but he still somehow knew what she was doing in the evening. He must have come up with all of it, as he is probably guilty. As a child, Laura adored rabbits. She grew up, became a private detective, and got herself a cute rabbit named Cinnabon. Once, she had to go on a business trip. She asked Sarah, her housekeeper, Annabelle, her cook, and Phoebe, her sister, to look after the animal. But when Laura came back, Cinnabon was gone, and all 3 women she had asked to look after her pet claimed they didn't know what had happened. Look at them attentively. Who is lying? It's the cook. See? It's Cinnabon's collar in her pocket. Well, Laura noticed that too. When Annabelle realized she had given herself away, she broke into a run. Laura dashed after her, but she couldn't catch up with the woman. Luckily, the girl noticed Annabelle run into a gym. She ran inside too. A security guard stopped her. Apparently, All members of this exclusive sport club were supposed to know a special passphrase to enter the facility. Laura was lucky to notice a note with a hint next to the door. Can you help Laura figure out the passphrase? That's "for once in my life." And it was the correct answer. The guard let Laura through. The girl searched everywhere, but didn't find Annabelle. But wait, the showers. When she entered the bathroom, she realized there were 3 people taking a shower there. But a moment later, she noticed that one person only pretended to be cleaning themselves. Who was it? It's the person in the second cubicle. The water is running, but there's no foam. They don't use any soap or sponge. But, surprise, surprise, the person who pretended to be taking a shower wasn't Annabelle. Then where could the cook hide? Suddenly, Laura noticed a white sheet of paper on the floor. She picked it up. It said, "Follow the white rabbit." Look around the room attentively and try to figure out where the girl should go. See those bunny ears on that door? Laura should probably try it. But there was a combination lock on the door. And is that a riddle next to it? Laura started reading. The code is a 3-digit number. 682. One number here is correct and well placed. 635. One number is correct but in the wrong place. 206. 2 numbers are correct but in the wrong place. 738. Nothing here is correct. 780. One number is correct, but in the wrong place. Can you help Laura figure out the code? From statements 4 and 5, we can understand that 0 is the correct number standing in the wrong place. 6 can't be the number we need. Otherwise, statements 1 and 2 would contradict each other. In this case, looking at statements 2 and 3, we can conclude that the correct numbers are 2, 5, and 0, and the code is 052. Laura opened the door and saw a long corridor. It led her to a large room. There, she saw a man dressed in black. He was sitting on a throne-like chair, holding Cinnabon. "Well, well, well, here you are," he said. "If you want to get your rabbit back, you'll have to do something for me." Laura had no choice but to agree. "You see, my wife Louisa disappeared during a performance she attended a week ago. Your task will be to find her." And the man gave Laura all the details. The girl questioned 3 witnesses. Dorothy said she had gone home right after the performance and hadn't noticed anything weird. Alina said that she had seen Louisa leave during the break with a tall blonde man. And Anna said that she'd been on the phone with her husband and hadn't seen where Louisa had gone. Who knows something about Louisa's whereabouts? Alina, look, during the intermission, she wasn't wearing her glasses. Neither did she have her lenses on. Look at how clumsily she moved. But then, how could she see Louisa leaving with a man? After Laura pressed Alina, the woman cracked. She admitted that she had seen some woman pulling Louisa away, but she was afraid to tell the truth since the woman seemed extremely unfriendly. Alina gave Laura a piece of paper the woman had dropped, but whatever was written there, it was a cipher. Can you help Laura crack it? The note says, "At the docks." When Laura got there, she saw 3 buildings. She understood she wouldn't have enough time to search all of them. She needed to choose the one where Louisa was kept, and fast. Can you help Laura? Look at the dark blue construction attentively. Next to the window, there's the word "help" scratched with some sharp object. After looking around the building, Laura found 3 keys. She needed to figure out which one of them fit the lock. Hurry up! Right, this is the key! The door opened, and Laura saw a woman sitting in the far corner. It was Louisa. She helped the woman to her feet, and they stumbled away. Soon, they noticed 3 taxis. Which car should they choose? The first one doesn't have a license plate. That's suspicious. And the driver of the second taxi is the very woman who took Louisa away a week ago. She's wearing a fake mustache and a baseball cap, pretending to be a man. Laura and Louisa should choose the third taxi. But luck wasn't on their side that evening. The car broke down before they could get to Louisa's husband. They had to walk. There were 3 paths in front of them. One led to a swamp. Toxic gases were floating all over the surface of the water. The second road was filled with poisonous plants. And over the third path, the air was swarming with agitated wasps. Which path should Laura and Louisa opt for? The second. At least the plants can't move, so if the women are careful, they'll be able to avoid touching them. Finally, they arrived at Louisa's house. Once the man in black saw his wife, he hugged her and turned to Laura. "I'm so sorry for using such methods, but I was getting desperate. I can't tell you why, but I had to keep her disappearance under wraps. That's why I chose to involve you. Thank you. I want to give something to you, but to get it, you'll need to crack this riddle." An electronics store owner came to work one day and saw that his safe was open. His money was nowhere to be found. He called the police. When a detective arrived, the store owner explained that the key to his safe was on the same keychain as the keys from his truck. 2 of his employees, Andrew and Ryan, used the truck and had access to all the keys, but the men had always returned them. The detective questioned the drivers. "Someone broke into your boss's safe yesterday. What do you know about this incident?" Andrew said, "I didn't copy the key. I wouldn't even know which one to copy." And Ryan said, "I've been working here for 3 months and have never entered the boss's office yet." The detective understood who the thief was right away. Can you figure it out? Andrew stole the money. The detective didn't say how the criminal had opened the safe. Then how did Andrew know it? Laura got the answer right. The man handed her Cinnabon and a brand new smartphone, but it was protected by a password. When Laura tried to unlock the phone, that's what she saw. Write backward all the numbers. That sounded like a tough task. Luckily, Laura was very smart. She didn't need much time to write the correct answer and unblock the gadget. So what was the password? SREBMUNEHTLLA. That's all the numbers written backwards. She couldn't believe her eyes. She'd been dreaming of this all her life, but to get it, she'd have to set off on a very unusual journey. Amy lives in a cozy townhouse with 3 roommates: Jill, Alice, and Nora. Can you guess which one of these 4 roommates belongs to Amy? See this comb with green hair in the first room? It looks just like Nora's hair color, so it's probably her room. In the second room, there's a sock under the bed. Jill's wearing the same sock on her left foot, so let's exclude the second room too. And now, let's take a look at the fourth room. There's a decoration on the wall, a large letter A. Therefore, this could be both Amy's room and Alice's room. But how can we guess who lives there? Very simple. In the third room, There's a yellow jacket hanging on the back of the chair, and Alice is wearing yellow trousers. These are two parts of one suit. Therefore, Amy lives in the fourth room. Bob entered a coffee shop. Suddenly, he realized that he'd forgotten his wallet at home, so he didn't have any money to pay for his drink. Jake, the barista, offered Bob a deal.
I'm going to tell you 3 facts about myself. If you manage to spot one lie, your drink is free.
Bob agreed. Here's the first fact. Jake has 3 brothers. Next, Jake hates the color red. And the third one, he has a PhD in philosophy. Can you help Bob get his free drink? The second fact is false. Jake's phone case is red, but he said that he hated that color. Will and Frank went hiking and found a beautiful spot on a deserted beach. They set up camp to settle down for the night. The next morning, the guys got out of the tent and found out that someone had stolen all food supplies and fishing equipment. Take a look at this picture. Can you guess who stole the food? There are no animal tracks on the sand, but that doesn't prove anything. Pay attention to the water level. In the evening, it was significantly lower. Nobody stole their food. Waves washed away their bags. Can you see this carrot in the water? Someone robbed a famous jewelry shop this night between 2 and 3 a.m. In the morning, the owner called the police. He wanted this kept quiet, so he didn't share any details with the journalists. The officers had found suspects previously accused of similar robberies and asked them just one question. What were you doing last night? Peter said, between 2 and 3 a.m., I was playing video games with my friend. He can confirm my words. Bill replied, I watched a TV show with my family and went to bed at 11 p.m. Rick said that he had spent the whole night in a nightclub because he was a DJ. Who robbed the bank? Peter. How could he know the exact time of the robbery? These customers look pretty innocent, but one of them is a thief. Can you guess who? This lady's hiding a pizza in her bag. Take a look at these 2 guys. Which one of them isn't smart? The lady is acting less smart. The pilot has a co-pilot at least. Can you find anything odd here? This pen is from another century. Fiona woke up in a creepy abandoned castle. She searched the area and found some old furniture and these 4 doors leading to freedom. But each door is hiding dangerous creatures. An angry dragon is waiting behind the first door. The floor behind the second door is all covered with venomous snakes. There's a gorgon behind the third door. She turns to stone everyone she looks at. And there's a wicked werewolf behind the fourth door. Can you help Fiona choose the safest door? She should take the mirror and show it to the gorgon. She will turn herself into stone, and Fiona will be able to escape through the third door. Jill used to be a professional dancer. Finally, she fulfilled her dream and opened a dance studio in Chicago. Her business gained popularity in the neighborhood very quickly. But one weekend, someone robbed the studio. The criminal took all the money and broke the mirrors. Jill called the police and they interrogated 4 suspects. Dan said that he'd been on a business trip in Seattle. Anna said she spent all weekend at her favorite ski resort preparing for the Winter Olympics. Alex was spending time with his dog at home. And Nina was taking care of her sick boyfriend all night. Who's lying? Anna, look at the street. It's summertime. How would she train at the ski resort? Rachel and Mike went on a date. They saw this weird restaurant and decided to check it out. The cook offered them chicken salad, mushroom soup, fish, pasta, and tacos. Can you help the guys choose the safest option? Can you see the broken glass in the salad? Probably not the healthiest option. This fish is still alive. There are worms inside this pasta. As for the soup, it contains little bugs. So, Rachel and Mike should choose the tacos. Emma wants to be a singer, so she started going to the city's most popular and expensive art school. But now she needs to get some work to pay the bills. Emma found these 3 job advertisements. Brad needs a manager in his coffee shop. Sophie needs a hostess for her karaoke club on the 7th floor of the local business center. And Lisa offers a part-time job in her model agency. But first, Emma must pay $500 for a 4-week training. Only one of these jobs isn't fake. Can you guess which one? There's no 7th floor in this building. Look at Lisa's picture. Someone scrawled the word scammer on her car. So Emma should choose Brad. Nancy took her son Peter to the bank to discuss his college grant. As soon as they entered the hall, Nancy pointed at these 3 managers and yelled, "It's your father!" The first manager said, "Miss, I've just moved from another state. I've never seen you before." The second person said, "I can't be his father because I'm a woman." And the third manager said, "I think we went to the same college, but I've never even talked to you." Can you spot who the real father is? The first guy, look at his face. He has the same eye color as Peter. Jane bought her morning coffee and headed to her office, but she suddenly realized she'd left her wallet at the checkout. She ran back to the coffee shop, but the wallet was gone. Jane saw 3 people standing nearby and told them, "I forgot my wallet here. Have you seen it?" Nick, the barista, said, "Sorry, I didn't see any wallets. I was focused on the drinks." Danny, the owner, said, "Lady, I'm a millionaire. I don't need to steal wallets." Kelly, the customer, said, "I think I saw someone suspicious. He was holding a pink wallet. It looked exactly like yours." Can you guess which person is a thief? Kelly. Jane didn't mention the color. Tim came for a family dinner to meet the parents of his girlfriend, Hillary. He entered an empty living room and saw a big table with several chairs. Hillary offered him to take a seat. Can you guess which chair Tim should choose? There's a mug near this chair that says, "World's Best Dad." So this chair belongs to Hillary's father. This chair is missing one leg. It will be embarrassing to fall in front of everybody. Someone left a red jacket on this chair. Hillary's wearing a red skirt, therefore it's her chair. Someone put a prank pillow on this chair, so let's rule that option out. There's only one chair to choose from. It looks pretty safe. Bill got a job in the circus. He was walking down the street after his first day and noticed that he'd forgotten his phone at work. Bill went back and heard weird noises from the dressing room. So he went to check and met 3 clowns. Bill realized that one of them was an imposter right away. Can you spot him too? Look closer. the second clown is wearing a police badge. He must be working undercover.
Rachel had been dreaming of becoming a famous actress. Finally, her dream was about to come true. A famed talent agency had invited Rachel for an interview. She arrived at the office to meet her new agent early in the morning. There were 4 people in the conference room. Can you tell which one is Rachel's agent? This guy is the only person who doesn't have an employee badge, so he's probably a guest. This man is wearing a classy, expensive suit, but he brought coffee for everyone, so he's an assistant. This lady's mug says "World's Best Lawyer," so she's probably responsible for legal issues. And this relaxed lady over there is Rachel's agent, Zoe. Zoe offered Rachel to take a seat. Which place should Rachel choose? This chair is missing one leg. Someone has spilled coffee on this chair. The barista has written "The Boss" on the drink in this cup and left it on the table next to this chair. And someone has left a sweater on this chair. So, Rachel has only one option, and here it is. First of all, Zoe decided to check how smart Rachel was and offered her this puzzle. She used 3 pencils to make this triangle. Rachel's task was to create a perfect square by moving just 1 pencil. Can you help her? Here's the answer. After the meeting, Zoe unboxed a delivery from a popular writer. He sent Zoe his new masterpiece in secret. Zoe didn't say anything about this to her colleagues, but one of them was actually trying to steal the script. Can you guess who this person is? It's the assistant. He's using his front camera to take pictures of the mirrored ceiling while Zoe is looking through the script. Zoe brought Rachel to her first audition. Rachel joined other actresses in a line. They were all competing for the lead role in a new series. The main character had poor eyesight, so all actresses put on fake glasses to get into character. Rachel didn't do well enough, and another actress, Sally, got the job. Rachel was very upset. But suddenly, Sally fell to the floor. She was unconscious, and Rachel called an ambulance. Doctors said that someone had poisoned Sally. But all the actresses ate the same snacks and drank the same water. Doctors checked the food, and it was fine. Can you guess what happened there? This actress gave Sally a wet wipe to clean her glasses. The wipe was poisoned. The next day, Rachel arrived at a theater to meet Stan. He was a famous director. She noticed 5 weird things about this place right away. What about you? Can you see them too? Something's wrong with the gravity. In particular, with this chandelier that isn't hanging from the ceiling as it should. The wind that the fan creates is blowing to the right, but this actress's hair is flowing to the left. There are human footsteps on the ceiling. The spotlights are red, but the lighting on the stage is blue. And this ballerina's shadow is falling in the wrong direction. Stan introduced Rachel to his favorite actors, Josh, Steven, and Tyler. They were triplets that always joked around. But this time, they agreed that one of them would tell the truth, and the other 2 would lie. They told Rachel about their game. She had to guess their names. The first guy said that he was Josh. The second introduced himself as Steven, and the third guy said, "The second person always tells the truth." Can you figure out who is who? If the third guy is telling the truth, then so is the second. But only one brother was supposed to be honest. So the third guy must be lying. This means the second brother is lying too. So then, the first guy must be telling the truth. He is Josh. The second guy is neither Josh nor Steven. He's Tyler. and the third brother is Steven. Stan offered Rachel to play a princess in his new production. Rachel went to the dressing room to apply makeup. Suddenly, she heard a scream. Rachel ran out of the room and saw the main star of the play on the stage covered in paint. Rachel questioned the suspects. Ron, an assistant, claimed that he'd been eating his sandwich on the balcony when it happened. Lily, a stylist, was on the phone with her husband. And Stacy, a cleaner, said she'd been cleaning the bathroom at that moment. Who's guilty? Ron. He's holding a sandwich, and it's still unwrapped. Now that Rachel got a job, she needed a place to stay in Hollywood. She started looking for an apartment and went to 3 agencies. Each agency showed her one apartment. Rachel liked them all, but when she examined the apartments, she realized that there were scammers among the realtors. Rachel looked at the documents attentively. Which apartment should she choose? Rachel chose the third option. The first apartment is on the 6th floor. But that's impossible because the building only has 5 floors. And according to the description of the second apartment, its construction will be finished in 2025. This is 2022, by the way. But Rachel needs an apartment immediately. Rachel rented the third apartment and moved in right away. But something was wrong with the bathroom there. Can you see it? How is she supposed to flush? Can you see anything weird here? There's no shower drain. Rachel heard the doorbell ring. Her neighbors, Peter and Victor, brought her 2 cakes, but only one of them was edible. Can you tell which one? Victor's cake is sprinkled with almond flakes, while Peter's cake is decorated with human nails. The next day, Zoe texted Rachel to check how she was doing. Rachel sent her this selfie and said, "Alone at home, learning my lines." Zoe sent Rachel this reply, "What a liar you are!" Why? If Rachel's alone, who's that guy? Zoe took Rachel to a party and introduced her to Nick, an eccentric billionaire who was financing one of Zoe's movie projects. They had a brief conversation, and then Rachel lost him in the crowd. In a while, Rachel noticed 3 guys facing away from her. Each of them looked exactly like Nick. Can you tell who the real Nick is? This guy has a tattoo on his hand, while Nick didn't have it. And this guy's suit is fake. They wrote the brand name with a mistake. Nick offered for Rachel to sing karaoke. The girls sang a song, and Nick liked it so much that he offered her a suitcase full of gold. But he wouldn't reward just anyone. Only smart people deserved his money. To get the gold, Rachel had to crack a riddle. Nick showed her 4 rare coins. He said there was something wrong with 3 of them. Can you figure out which coin is real? People who lived at that time didn't call their era BCE. This coin is from the future. Take a look at the date. There weren't cars in 1365. So here's the only real coin. Rachel used an app to call a taxi to take her precious suitcase home. She saw 3 identical cars in the parking lot. Each of the 3 drivers claimed that Rachel had ordered their car. Which driver should Rachel choose? The third one. Take a look at the first taxi. There's a creepy guy hiding in the back seat, and the second car is missing a wheel. Zoe was having a party at her villa. She noticed that her son, Harry, was eating in his room with some lady. But Zoe didn't know who she was. The woman got very curious. So, after they left, she sneaked into her son's room to find some hints. There were 3 girls at her party: Lily, Jennifer, and Diana. Zoe immediately guessed who was with her son. What about you? Harry is dating Jennifer. Look at the dishes on the table. There's a lipstick stain on the fork. Jennifer is the only girl wearing red lipstick. In the morning, Rachel went for a run in the park. On her way there, she met this woman. And a minute later, she saw another woman, absolutely the same. Rachel thought it was extremely bizarre. But, in reality, there were 5 differences between these 2 ladies. Can you see them? Here they are. Rachel continued her run and saw these 2 guys on a boat in the river. And a couple of minutes later, she noticed these fishermen. Can you spot any differences? There are 5 differences between these 2 pictures. Have you found them all? Rachel stopped because she needed to tie her shoelaces. Suddenly, she saw these 2 women with backpacks. Can you spot 5 differences between them? Right, here they are. Rachel arrived at her apartment building and found her neighbor, Peter, unconscious at the bottom of the stairs. The scene in front of her eyes was so awful that Rachel fainted, and the concierge carried her home. In the evening, after her nap, Rachel left her apartment. And guess what? In the lobby, she came across Peter again. But this time, he was energetic and happy. He was also drinking some juice. How did he survive? Look, he's a vampire! In the morning, Zoe called Rachel and asked her to come to the agency immediately. When Rachel saw the office, she was shocked. It was a mess. Someone had stained the walls with paint, and broken furniture and torn documents were everywhere. Zoe questioned 3 suspects. Dan, an assistant, said that he'd been partying all night. Many people could confirm that. Jessica, a lawyer, said, "Who do you think I am? I love my job. Otherwise, I would have already quit." And Sarah, a copywriter, said that she'd been the last one to leave the office. And she had locked the door, that's for sure. Who's lying? Jessica. All the mugs are broken, except for hers. World's best lawyer. The woman wanted to get rid of some documents, so she faked a robbery.
Detective Tina received an emergency call from the local museum. Someone had stolen an exclusive scarab brooch from ancient Egypt. First of all, Tina checked all security cameras. This is what she found. Can you spot the thief just by looking at these 2 pictures? See this guy? He's holding an open paper cup in the first image, but in the second image, the cup has a lid. The guy hid the stolen brooch in his paper cup. Detective Tina hurried to the crime scene. When the brooch disappeared, the museum security system locked all visitors inside the building. But the guards didn't find the suspected person among the visitors. How did he escape? Have you guessed? Take a look up at the ceiling. See the shoe prints on the statue? The thief climbed this sculpture and escaped through the window on the roof. Tina went to the roof to search for some clues. Can you see any? The thief left the cup on the roof. There's a coffee shop name written on it. Bright Cup. Tina can visit this place and check the security cameras. Tina arrived at the coffee shop, located just nearby the museum. Unfortunately, they didn't have security cameras, so Tina questioned the staff. Kelly, the barista, said, "Sorry, I don't know this guy. I'm just trying to do my job." Mike, the manager, said,
This face looks familiar, but I'm not sure where I saw him.
and Phil, the guard, said, "Sorry, never saw him. You can trust me. I have a perfect memory for faces." Tina knew for sure that one of them had lied. Can you spot who exactly? Kelly, look at her iPad. There's an incoming call from her boyfriend. Take a closer look at the contact photo. It's our thief. Therefore, Kelly is an accomplice in the crime. Tina told Kelly, "I'm afraid we should continue this conversation at the police station." But Kelly ran away through the backyard. Tina followed her and ended up in a dark basement. She got lost and found these 3 cages. The first cage is covered with fire. There are huge ice cubes all over the second cage, and the third cage is full of venomous scorpions. Tina has to choose one of them to get to the surface. Can you help her choose the safest option? The cage with the ice cubes. She can get cold, but it's still safer than the other 2 cages. The police caught Kelly and brought her to the station. During interrogation, Kelly told Tina 4 facts.
First of all, this guy's name is Alex. Secondly, he's my ex-boyfriend. We don't get along anymore. We went to the same college and met in history class. And finally, I don't know why he'd stolen this stupid brooch.
One of the facts is false. Can you guess which one? The 4th one. Look at Kelly's tattoo. It's identical to the stolen brooch. She definitely knows something about the stolen item. Kelly confessed that the thief might be hiding in an abandoned castle site outside the city. Tina went to check it out. But anyone who wants to reach the castle should go through this tangled maze. Can you tell which one of these 4 paths will bring Tina to the castle? The first path leads to the pond with crocodiles. The third one leads nowhere. And the 4th way goes back to the beginning. So Tina should choose the second path. Tina entered the castle and saw a room full of ancient artifacts. She spotted the thief right away. What about you? Can you see him? This mummy is holding a cell phone. Alex ran away to the basement and Tina followed him. Unfortunately, the door behind her slammed shut and she got stuck. Can you help her break the code to escape? A calendar on the door says, "You force heaven to be empty." If you read the sentence again, you're going to hear a 7-digit code. U, 4, 7, 2, B, M, T. In the next room, Tina got stuck in another trap. The creepy voice explained, "If you press the right button, I'm going to let you go. But if you choose the wrong one, you'll stay here forever. You've only got one chance to escape. Good luck." Which button opens the lock? Have you guessed? She should pick the black button. This picture on the wall is a hint. The rainbow contains all colors except for black. Tina got out of the trap and entered a room full of old furniture. She noticed 3 odd details about this room right away. What about you? There are books in this burning fireplace, but they don't burn. Take a look at this painting on the wall. This lady's winking. and the reflection in this mirror doesn't match the room at all. Tina found Alex near these underground gates leading to an ancient underground city. He explained that the scarab brooch hid a secret key, but there are 4 different locks on the gates. The guys only have one attempt to choose the right one. Which lock should they pick? The 4th lock is the only perfect match for this key. The guys opened the gates and entered the city. Alex had a map, so he ran away to find the treasures and left Tina alone. She looked around and noticed a 3-way road pointing to the north, west, and east. Tina didn't know where to go. Suddenly, she saw a lady. The local citizens always reply truthfully, but they answer only one question if they're talking to a stranger. What should Tina ask to figure out the right direction? She should ask, if the right direction is not the east, is it west? Here's why. There are 3 possible answers. 1. Yes, west is correct. 2. No, east is the right direction. 3. Neither one nor the other. Tina should go north. Or, Tina might just ask the name of this lady and then introduce herself. This way, they won't be strangers anymore, and Tina would be able to ask as many questions as she needed. Tina went north and finally found the entrance to a cave with treasures, but the door has a combination lock. Can you help Tina figure out the code? Take a look at these figures. The number corresponds to the sum of intersection points. Therefore, she needs to calculate the number of points in the last figure. And voila! The 4-digit code is solved. Inside the caves, Tina met a dragon. It said,
I'm gonna let you in if you can crack my riddle. I'm gonna let you in if you can crack my riddle. I'm quite hot, but if you remove the first 2 letters, I become too cold. What am I?
Have you guessed? The correct answer is spice. When we take away the first 2 letters, it turns into ice. To find the treasures, Tina has to walk through this round maze. She only has 10 seconds to choose the correct way. Can you help her out? Here's the easiest way. Tina found 3 doors in the center of the labyrinth. Each door leads to treasures. But each way also hides some danger. The first path is filled with poisonous gas. There are thousands of toads and bugs behind the second door. They crawl all over the floor and walls. And a hungry lion is hiding behind the third door. Which way should Tina choose? The second way. Although bugs and toads can be gross, they're not dangerous. Tina took the treasures and headed home. Suddenly, she met Alex. Tina decided to trick him and offered him a deal. If you manage to solve my puzzle, I'm going to give you 100% of the treasures. But if you fail, you'll get nothing and go to jail. Here's the riddle. Move just 1 match to point this giraffe in a different direction. Alex failed to crack this riddle. What about you? Here's the correct answer. Pretty easy, huh? Anna went on vacation to Hawaii and stayed at a luxury hotel. The hotel manager told her that they had only 3 empty rooms left. Anna could choose the room she liked best. Can you help her make a wise choice? There's no mosquito net on the window in the second room, and something's wrong with the door handle in the third room. So, Anna should choose the first room. Anna went to the hotel swimming pool. She spotted 3 odd details in the area right away. Can you see them too? There's no ladder in the pool. There are 2 suns in the sky, and this guy is sunbathing in a winter coat. After lunch, Anna decided to go on a boat trip. At the pier, she met 3 sailors. Bob offered her a 3-hour sailing and fishing trip for $10 only. Kyle offered Anna a personal diving class for $200, and Daniela offered to have a boat trip around the coastal cliffs for free. But only one of these offers is actually a good deal. Can you guess which one? Kyle's offer is overpriced. Look at the poster hanging at the pier. It advertises personal diving classes for $20. And Daniela's offer isn't safe. Her boat has a broken bottom. That's why Anna should accept Bob's offer. Anna woke up on a deserted island in the middle of a hot day. The sun was shining very bright, so she needed to find a water source as soon as possible. There's the sea nearby, but she can't drink salty water. She found an abandoned cabin that contained some really handy items. 2 empty paint cans, 1 large and 1 small, a roll of aluminum foil, 1 baseball, an old pair of sneakers, and some other useful things. Which one of these additional items can Anna use to combine with the previous items to obtain drinking water? A book, a handful of tiny pebbles, or a plastic bag? The book is useless in this context. The pebbles can be found all over the shore. As for the plastic bag, Anna can fill 1/2 of the larger paint can with seawater. Then, put the smaller can inside of it. Next, she should use the laces from the sneakers to pull the plastic bag tight over the large can. And finally, place the baseball on top of the plastic bag directly above the smaller can to make a small indentation. Then, just leave this construction in the sun. Drinking water will evaporate and condense on the plastic bag. The indentation will push the water into the smaller paint can. Anna decided to explore the island. Soon, she found a tunnel and got lost inside it. At the bottom of the tunnel, Anna saw 3 pits leading to freedom. But, unfortunately, every pit is hiding some danger. A huge squid is hiding in the first pit. There's a hungry hyena in the second pit. And there's a poisonous porcupine hiding on the third path. Can you help Anna choose the safest way to escape? Anna should choose the pit with the squid. They can't live in conditions that differ from the marine habitat. Therefore, she should wait for a while. The squid will get weaker and she'll be able to escape safely. Anna got hungry and went to the jungle to find some food. But she's not alone here. Can you find any hidden animals in this picture? There are 6 animals in the jungle. Here they are: a butterfly, an alligator, a rabbit, a camel, a snake, and a deer. Finally, Anna found 3 bushes with berries. They all look delicious, but only one of them is safe to eat. Can you help Anna make the right choice? She should take a look at the monkeys. They stay away from the first bush because it's a mutant plant. See? It has teeth and emanates toxic gases. Meanwhile, the monkeys enjoy berries from the second and third bushes. But a cobra is hiding under the third bush. So, the second bush is the safest choice. Anna got sunburned during her walk. Which item from the cabin can she use to cool down? Aluminum foil? Fresh water from the paint can? Or the sponge with some seawater? The sponge with salty water will only make it worse for Anna's irritated skin. and the drinking water is too precious to waste on bathing. Meanwhile, metallic foil is a great tool to cool down a shelter. Anna can cover the roof and the cabin walls and deflect some of the sun's heat. The next day, Anna continued her travel around the island and came across an abandoned village. She found a car with the keys still in it. The car was parked outside the local library, but before Anna could do something about it, a nearby volcano erupted. She didn't see any signs of glowing red lava, but a huge cloud of black smoke was moving towards her. It'll reach the place where Anna's standing in a minute. What should she do? 1. Head down to the library's basement, which is filled with vampire bats. 2. Take the stairs to the library's roof and hide there. Or, take the car and try to ride away. Volcanic dust is very hot and moves at high speed. Anna cannot either outrun the dust or hide from the clouds on the roof. So the safest option is to lock herself in the basement with creepy bat neighbors. In the basement, Anna noticed a big wall clock. It happened when the minute and hour hand was precisely between 1 and 2. She saw that both hands lay on top of each other. Can you guess what the time was? $12. Both minute and hour hands lay exactly between the number 1 and 2 in the middle of the number 12. Anna looked around and found a secret passage in the basement. She entered the passage and fell into a subterranean river, which carried her away to a large waterfall, and then to a much bigger river surrounded by rocky cave walls. She tried to swim away, but the force of the waterfall had created a reverse current, pulling her backwards with an intense force. Anna needs to act fast. What would you suggest? Swim onward through the crashing water? Swim to the side and try to climb the walls? Or dive as deep as possible and then swim out of the waterfall's pull? Swimming onward isn't an option. The current will pull her back anyway. The chances of directly overcoming the forces of the water are 0. But if Anna goes downward as deep as possible where the water current is not so strong, she still has a good chance to escape. As soon as Anna got outside, she met a wicked witch. She offered Anna a deal.
You need to run one of these 3 tunnels colored red, blue, and yellow. 2 of them lead to a black hole, while another leads to your hotel room. Listen to my clues very carefully. Choose the reed and you won't disappear. It's a lie to say that blue isn't dissimilar. The yellow doesn't have less in common with the red than the blue.
Can you help Anna make the right choice? The witch said that the red tunnel won't not make her disappear, which means that Anna will disappear. So we can exclude the red one, and the yellow doesn't have less in common with the red than the blue, which means that the yellow does have more in common with the red. So now we can exclude the yellow one as well. Anna should choose the blue tunnel.
Now, Rosie and Peter are having a date. Both of them are pathological liars. The waiter asks their ages. Peter says, "I'm definitely not over 30. Rosie replies, "I'm 28 and Peter is at least 5 years older than me." Peter adds, "Nah, Rosie is at least 29. Can you figure out their actual ages?" Since we know that all statements are false, let's assume the opposite. Peter is definitely over 30. Rosie is not 28, and she's at most 4 years older than Peter. And Rosie is at most 28. Now, from the first statement, we can conclude that Peter is at least 31 years old. The second and third statements tell us that Rosie is younger than 28. We also know that the maximum gap between their ages is 4 years. Therefore, Peter is 31 years old and Rosie is 27. Rosie arrives home from her date and makes herself a cup of hot chocolate. Suddenly, a soccer ball crashes through her window and breaks the mug. Rosie looks out the window just in time. She sees 3 neighbors running across the backyard, the Smith brothers. Their names are Miles, Mark, and Mike. The next morning, Rosie finds a note in her mailbox. It says this: which one of the Smith brothers should Rosie question? The note reads, Smith. Therefore, Rosie should blame Mark. Mark apologizes to Rosie. She replies, I'm going to forgive you if you crack my riddle. So listen carefully. I came first on earth, but second in heaven. I also come twice a week, but just once in a year. I stay away for months, but you can find me in February. What am I? Can you help Mark solve this puzzle? The correct answer is the letter E. And for extra credit, will Rosie the liar actually forgive Mark? Someone robbed Rosie's house yesterday. She called the police and they questioned her neighbors. Billy said, yesterday I was visiting my parents' house in another state. I just got back. Phil said, for safety reasons, I had to spend last night in a hotel room. Construction workers urgently repaired my roof during the night. Thankfully, they finished by this morning. Meanwhile, Chuck replied, sorry, I was playing video games with my friends, so I didn't notice anything suspicious at all. Who is lying? Phil. The roof reconstruction should have been finished, but it still looks like a mess. Ooh. Rosie wants to win a college sports grant, so she trains very hard every day. Take a look at her rivals. Can you predict who's going to win this particular competition? The left runner will be the first to cross the finish line. The right guy's shoelaces came undone. Meanwhile, Rosie, who's running in the middle, put her hand on her stomach because she's struggling with a cramp. That's why her chances of winning are low. The next day, Rosie buys chocolates on the way to the gym. She can't eat them in front of the others because their coach, Tina, asks all runners to stay away from sugar products. So Rosie decides to hide the chocolates in her locker. During the break, she opens her locker and finds out that the chocolates are gone. She questions 4 teammates. Karen says, I was washing my hair in the shower. Kelly replies, I was talking to my boyfriend on FaceTime, and he can confirm that. Zoe discussed her skills with Tina during the break. And Nina enjoyed her sugar-free salad. Who's lying? It's Karen. Her hair is dry.
What?
Rosie is walking home from her training late at night. Suddenly, she sees a sad young lady sitting at a bus stop. The lady got wet in the rain, and the buses are no longer running. Rosie feels sorry for her and says, My home is nearby. Would you like to have a cup of hot tea? The lady agrees. As soon as they enter her home, Rosie turns the light on. That's when she realizes that her guest is very dangerous. How? The lady's legs are covered with wolf hair. Take a look at the sky. It's a full moon. She will soon turn into a werewolf. Rosie arrives at work, so we can assume she survived the night. Unfortunately, someone locks her in the underground parking. She wanders around for a while and finds 3 ways out, but only one path is safe. Hungry tigers are hiding behind the first door. It's impossible to get through. The second door is guided by a virtual voice assistant reprogrammed to hate people. It threatens to destroy anyone who enters this door. And the third passage is filled with toxic gas that makes all mammals pass out immediately. Which door should Rosie choose? The second one. Those threats are words. At the end of the day, it's just a voice assistant. Rosie discovers an infinite supply of honey, but she only has a 1 5-gallon jar and 1 3-gallon jar. She needs to measure out exactly 4 gallons of honey, taking as few steps as possible. Can you help her out? Yep, this can be done in 6 steps. 1. Fill the 5-gallon jar fully. 2. Now pour the honey from the 5-gallon jar into the 3-gallon jar. After that, you still have 2 gallons of honey in the bigger jar. 3. Now empty the 3-gallon jar. 4. Transfer the 2 gallons of honey into the 3-gallon jar. 5. Fill up the bigger jar again. 6. And finally, transfer 1 gallon from the 5-gallon jar into the smaller jar. This way, we'll end up having 4 gallons of honey in the bigger jar. Rosie goes to a local restaurant. The manager offers her free dinner. But first, she has to solve his tricky riddle. Rosie agrees. Here's the task. You throw me out when you want to use me. And you take me in when you don't want to use me. Who am I? Rosie nails it right away. Can you solve this mystery too? The correct answer is an anchor. Now, Rosie has 26 blue socks, 13 green socks, 33 pink socks, and 12 red socks. She keeps them in her drawer. How many socks would she have to pull out in the dark to make sure she had a matching pair? The correct answer is 5. She only has 4 colors in her collection, so 5 socks will guarantee that 2 of them will be in the same color. Hey, great job. Rosie has 4 siblings: Alex, Sarah, Nina, and Willow. All 5 receive some gifts from their relatives on Christmas Day. Rosie opens 25 gifts, while her brother Alex only 24. Meanwhile, Sarah opens 8 gifts, and Nina only 1 gift. Can you predict how many gifts Willow would open? The last name in Rosie's name is Y. It's the 25th letter of the alphabet. Alex's last letter X is in the 24th place. The last letter in the name Sarah is H. It's the 8th letter of the alphabet, and so on. Similar odd logic also works for Willow. The letter W is 23rd. Therefore, she will open 23 gifts. Now, if I were Sarah, I might complain about only getting a third of the gifts her siblings get. But I'm not. Rosie is looking through her granny's pictures. Suddenly, she gets chills because she noticed a time traveler among these party guys. Can you spot this person too? This picture is from the 70s, but this guy on the left has a modern cell phone in his pocket. He's definitely not from this era. Rosie wants to get into her boyfriend's apartment building to prepare a surprise for his birthday. Unfortunately, she has forgotten the 5-digit code, but she still remembers these 5 clues. The sum of the 5th number and the 3rd number is 14. The 4th number is 1 more than the 2nd. The 1st number is 1 less than twice the 2nd number. The sum of the 2nd number and the 3rd number equal 10. And finally, the sum of all 5 numbers is 30. Can you help her crack the code? The correct code is 74658. Here's some simple math to explain it.
Hey, how about some tricky riddles that will put your brain to work? Ready? How fast can you solve this one? Grace has 7 sons and each of them has a sister. How many children does Grace have in total? The answer is 8. I bet all the sons have the same sister, so 7 sons plus 1 sister equals 8 children. Stephen's family was away this weekend, but he was found unconscious outside his mansion. Investigators had 3 main suspects. All of them were in the house when it happened. The first person was Maya, but she claimed to be innocent. "I was cleaning the house in the morning and I took a nap in the afternoon," she told the investigators. John, the butler, said, "I was told to check the food inventory in the afternoon." And the last person to be interrogated was James, the driver. He claimed he'd been far away from the house that day.
"I was driving the boss's children to a garden party."
Which of these people do you think is guilty? It was James. All family members were away that weekend, so his alibi can't be true. What English word has the same pronunciation even after you take away 2 of its 3 letters? It's B. Phew, that one took some work. Look at these images and try to guess what's wrong. Duh! In the last picture, the woman is trying to eat soup with a fork. Like that would work. On a lazy Sunday afternoon, 7 friends decided to go to the mall. Esme, Evelyn, and Elise grabbed a cup of coffee each, while Ava, Ella, and Emma decided to drink some refreshing soda. Using this logic, can you figure out if Esther chose to drink coffee or soda? Esther is drinking coffee. The secret is in the girl's name. Esme, Evelyn, Elise, and Esther all have 2 letters E in their names, just like the word coffee. There were 4 pairs in the basket and 4 people in the room. Each person took 1 pair. In the end, there was still 1 pair left in the basket. How is that possible? The last person took a pair that was still lying in the basket. Mary's birthday was coming up, and she decided to treat herself to a relaxing day at the spa. During a massage, Mary dozed off. When she woke up, the money she had in her purse was missing.
Oh no!
Mary had 3 suspects. The cashier, Erica, claimed, "I was having lunch in the back." Catherine, the masseuse, said, "I went to the back of the store to get some extra oil." The last person was Monica. She was another customer. She said she hadn't seen anything and had just been waiting for her appointment. Can you tell which one is the culprit? The thief is Catherine. She must have waited for Mary to fall asleep and then took her things. Look at the money hidden behind the oils. Hey, it's time for a hair appointment to trim those split ends. But in this scenario, there are only 2 hairdressers in town who can cut your hair. This guy or this girl. Which one should you choose? The girl, of course. If there are only 2 hairdressers in town, that means they cut each other's hair. And judging by the haircut the guy gave the girl, it looks like he doesn't really know what he's doing. If a rooster lays an egg on top of this cabin, in which direction will it roll? Aha! Roosters don't lay eggs, so it wouldn't roll anywhere. The shopkeeper of an expensive skincare store called the police because someone had robbed his business. He didn't notice the culprit, but according to the security camera footage, there were 3 customers in the store at the time of the robbery. Police officers questioned each of them. Michael said he'd been buying some stuff for his pets. The second suspect, Kayla, was looking for ointments and some aloe vera gel. The last person, Rachel, told the interrogators she'd been busy looking for lotions. Can you tell who's lying? Michael is the culprit. The skincare store doesn't sell pet products. Duh. Peter is a rich man who owns a lot of expensive jewelry. One day, he woke up and noticed that all of it had been stolen. He called a private detective to solve this case. Peter's wife Carla was the first one to be interrogated. "I was showering at the time," she said nervously. Bianca, the housekeeper who had been working for the family for years, was not in the house. She said, "I was cleaning the garage." The last suspect was Barb, the house chef. "I was making lunch for the family," she told the detective. Can you tell who stole the jewelry? It was Barb, of course. She claimed she was cooking lunch, but the crime happened at night. A man lives on the 80th floor of a high-rise building. On rainy days, he takes the elevator all the way up. But on sunny days, he only takes the elevator halfway to his floor. And then, he takes the stairs the rest of the way. Why does he do this? Well, my friends, it so happens that the man is short. Normally, he can only reach the 40th floor button. But on rainy days, he manages to push the 80th floor button with the help of his umbrella handle. Genius, huh? On a rainy day, Miranda decided to work from home. At one point, she went to the bathroom, but when she got back, she noticed that her cell phone and money had been stolen right in her own house during the day. There were 3 people in the house at the time. Her sister Beth claimed it wasn't her. "I was still asleep at the time because I'd gone to bed late yesterday." Her other sister Anna said she'd been taking a stroll in the garden when it had happened. "I was watching the night-scented orchid bloom." And lastly, there was Josh, Miranda's boyfriend. "I've just got home for lunch," he said. What do you think? Which of these 3 suspects stole Miranda's money and cell phone? Anna is the culprit, of course. Night-scented orchids only bloom at night, so she probably sneaked in and grabbed Miranda's things while the girl was away. A farmer rode into the village on Monday. He stayed in the village for 4 days and rode out on Monday. How is that possible? The farmer's horse is named Monday. I bet you didn't guess this one, did you? Uncle Ben's farm experienced a terrible downpour, and all but 15 pigs were missing and couldn't be found. How many pigs are still in the barn? If you said 15, you got it right. So, there are 3 important rooms in a house. The first one is a library full of rare books. The second room stores piles of money and gold. And the third room has boxes full of expensive jewelry in it. In case of a fire emergency, in which room will the police try to extinguish the fire first? The correct answer is none. Police officers don't fight fire. That's the job of firefighters. Virginia accidentally sent an email to her boyfriend instead of her best friend. She didn't want her partner to see it, so she took his laptop while he was sleeping and tried to delete the message. The laptop required a password to unlock. Luckily, there was a post-it with a hint. History, 3. Music, 5. Book, 2, 3, 1. Yellow, 1. What's the passcode? Each number indicated the letter Virginia had to select in the corresponding word. The third letter in history is S. The 5th letter in music is C. The second, third, and first letters in book are O, O, and B. And the first letter in yellow is Y. The password is Scooby. That's all for today, folks. Hope your brain is good and functioning after all these sharp riddles. See you next time!
Kitty entered a bookstore to get some art supplies. At one point, she met an elf and accidentally stepped on his foot. Ow! The elf got very angry and teleported her to his fairy world. He said, "I'm Noah. Welcome to my world, you ill-mannered lady. If you can solve all my riddles, I'll help you find your way home. But if you don't, you'll turn into a tree and stay in this enchanted forest forever." So, here comes the first riddle. Jen and Dobby have 4 daughters, and each of the daughters also has a brother. How many people are there in the family? Kitty cracked this riddle easily. What about you? The correct answer is 7. Noah took Kitty to the elf village. There they met Mr. Raspberry. He was very upset. Someone had stolen all berries from his trees. Noah suggested Kitty should find the thief. She questioned 4 suspects. Alice said, "I'm allergic to berries and stay away from them." Mia said that she'd been busy all morning, helping her granny pick apples in her garden. Javier confessed that he had been on a secret date. He refused to reveal the name of his girlfriend. And Fiona said, "Are you kidding? I love my manicure too much to spoil it by picking berries." So, who's the thief? Alice. She's eating strawberry ice cream, which means she lied about her allergy. Next, Noah took Kitty for a walk through a magic field. There are 50 cows in this field and 28 chickens. How many didn't? Kitty figured this riddle out immediately. What about you? The correct answer is 30. It's a play on words. 20 cows ate chickens, which means that 30 cows didn't. The guy's next stop was a jewelry store. The local jeweler, Jonas, had just finished making a beautiful diamond necklace. He put it on the window so that everyone could admire his masterpiece and left for lunch. But when he returned, the necklace was gone. Surprise, surprise. Kitty questioned 3 suspects. The jeweler's assistant, David, said, "I was cleaning silver in the next room and didn't hear anyone enter the store." Billy, who owned a chocolate store 1 floor below, said, "I've spent the entire day with my wife. We've been celebrating our 15th anniversary." And Nina, the cleaning lady, said, "I've been cleaning the roof and singing when the crime happened. I didn't hear anything." Who's the thief? Billy. Look at his selfie with his wife. She's wearing the stolen necklace. Okay, but how did he steal it? He has a book, Magic Portals, on the shelf in his store. A postman found an elderly stargazer, Mr. Green, unconscious on the floor in his own house. Kitty questioned the key suspect, Mike. He was the only person who had been seen near Mr. Green's house the day before. Kitty asked him what he had been doing the previous night. Mike replied, "I spent the whole evening helping my friend to build a house. We finished late at night. I was passing by Mr. Green's house on my way home. I looked into the window and saw him lying on the floor. I was shocked and called the police." Kitty inspected the house and told the officer to arrest Mike. Why? Mr. Green was found on the ground floor, but his house doesn't have any ground floor windows, which means Mike couldn't see anything through the window. Noah took Kitty to his garden. He said that elf gardens were a little different compared to human ones. Kitty noticed 5 weird details right away. Can you see them too? It's snowing, but the flowers are blooming. The trees don't cast any shadows, but Kitty does. The rainbow in the sky is upside down. All squirrels are wearing suits. They usually don't do that in human forests. And this butterfly is talking on the phone. Noah invited Kitty for dinner, but they gotta cook it first. He gave Kitty an old recipe and said she could find all the ingredients in the garden. But the recipe is coded with the help of these symbols. Can you help Kitty find all the ingredients? Here comes the first one. It's a potato, and it's hiding over here. Here's the second ingredient. Olives. They're growing over there. What about this puzzle? Any ideas? Cabbage. It's over there. Can you recognize this one? Coconut. Here it is. The next one. Can you crack it? Pineapple. Great job. What about this puzzle? It's a carrot. And since it's an elf's garden, carrots are growing on trees. Can you crack this code? It's a peach, and Kitty can get it over there. Here comes the next ingredient. Any ideas? Pepper. It's over there. And last but not least, can you crack it? Broccoli. Great job. There's only one broccoli head in this garden, and it's hiding over there. After a delicious dinner, Noah offered Kitty to choose a guest room. He gave her 3 options, but only one of them was safe. Option number 1, a soft bed in the attic. Here's the second option, a cozy sofa in the basement. And the third option is a hammock on an open balcony. Unfortunately, mutant mosquitoes arrive every night. Their poison is safe for elves, but not for humans. Which room should Kitty choose? Springs stick out of the first bed. That doesn't look safe. And the sofa is full of bed bugs. Probably not the best company for a sleepover. So Kitty should choose the hammock. She can use this mosquito net to hide from the annoying insects. Next morning, Noah had an appointment. He offered Kitty to meet later in a fancy elf cafe. 4 waiters welcomed her when she arrived there, but one of them was fake. Can you guess who? See, this guy is a criminal. Noah was late, so Kitty ordered breakfast without him and went to the bathroom. The girl left her bag and her wallet on the table. Don't ask me why. When she came back, Noah was sitting at the table. Her food had arrived and her bag was still there, but the money was missing from her wallet. The restaurant security found 3 suspects. Noah said that he had just arrived. He hadn't seen anything suspicious. The waitress said, "I brought the food, but I didn't touch the wallet." The cleaner said that she'd wiped the table but hadn't touched the wallet. The guard found some fingerprints on the wallet, but they all belonged to Kitty. So, who stole the money? The cleaner. She had her gloves on. That's why she didn't leave any fingerprints. Kitty didn't have any elf money, so Noah offered to pay for her meal. But first, she had to crack this riddle. What begins with T, ends with T, and has T in it? Kitty solved this puzzle easily. What about you? The correct answer is a teapot. Kitty found a beautiful diamond tiara on the sink in the ladies' room while she was washing her hands. 3 elves showed up to claim it. Jim said, "This tiara belongs to my mother. We've been passing it on from generation to generation for ages. I noticed that it was gone after visiting the bathroom." Fiona said that she had won this tiara in a beauty contest. She even showed Kitty a picture. Jessica said, "If this tiara is missing one small emerald, then it's mine. I lost the gem at a party last summer." Kitty gave the tiara to Jessica. Why? Well, Jim wouldn't have been allowed in the ladies' room. The stones in Fiona's tiara are blue, not green, and Jessica was the only one who knew about the defect. Kitty entered an elf gift store to get some souvenirs for her family. 3 magic creatures entered the store after her. Everything was fine until, suddenly, Kitty heard a loud scream. She turned around and saw an elf lying face down on the table. She quickly called the police and reported the incident. An officer arrived and asked the other 3 customers what they'd been doing when they heard the scream. The goblin said, "I was picking out postcards from the front display." The mermaid was chasing the perfect souvenir mug. She dropped it when she screamed. The pieces were still on the floor, and the wizard said, "I was checking my horoscope on my phone. I'm a Venus by zodiac, you know. My astrologist promised that today would be the most peaceful day of my life." Yeah, right. Can you help Kitty find the criminal? It's the wizard. Venus isn't an astrological sign. The police arrested the wizard. He got so mad at Kitty that he turned her into a fraud. Noah tried all the spells from his books, but nothing helped. So he took Kitty to the jail to beg for the wizard's help. There, Noah saw 2 prisoners. He knew for sure that only one of them would manage to escape. Ooh. The second one, he has a spoon without a handle. He must have used it to make a knife to open the door. The wizard agreed to lift his spell, but he had one condition. The guys had to crack his riddle. How many months of the year have 28 days? Can you help Kitty out? The correct answer is all of them. Noah took Kitty to the local magic store. Kitty asked him what he wanted to buy. Noah answered this way: "It's tall when it's young, and it's short when it's old." What is it? Have you guessed? It's a candle. Noah lit the candle and prepared to send Kitty back to the human world. But he had one last riddle for her. Kitty had to say a secret number code to get home. Here's a hint. The code contains 3 positive numbers. You can either add these numbers or multiply them. The result will be the same. What are these numbers? The correct answer is 1, 2, and 3. Great job!
Sophie is an art student. She's painting something really curious. It's a greenhouse. But there's a white house inside the greenhouse, and a red house inside the white house. And there are lots of cubs inside the red house. Can you guess what exactly Sophie is painting? She's painting a watermelon. It has a small white layer inside the green one. Also, its pulp is red and full of seeds. Sophie is walking down the school hallway and meets her best friend Paul. There's a huge stain of red paint on his stomach. Sophie asks him, "Paul, what happened here?" Paul replies, "I was walking to the classroom, but suddenly some mad students sneaked up behind me and splattered paint all over my back. And then he just teleported like a superhero." Sophie says, "Stop fooling around," and leaves. Why? Alex has a stain on his stomach, not his back. Therefore, it's a fake story. Sophie and her classmates are drawing a still life, but one of the students is an imposter. Can you guess who? This guy's work is nothing like what others are drawing, but it's not a crime. But this lady over here has a police badge in her pocket, which means she's probably working undercover. Sophie enters an auditorium. 3 of her 3 classmates are very busy. Julia is standing on a ladder and hanging pictures. Paul is carving a sculpture from marble. And Nina is filming Paul. Which one is in greater danger? Nina, the sculpture is cracked and it's about to fall on her. Sophie and Paul are making an experiment after classes. Both guys bring identical buckets with the same amount of water. But the temperature of Sophie's water is 25 degrees C, and the temperature of Paul's water is 25 degrees F. Simultaneously, they drop a coin into each bucket from the same height. The coins hit the water at exactly the same time. Can you guess which coin should touch the bottom first? The coin in Sophie's bucket. At 25 degrees C, water is liquid, while at 25 degrees F, it turns into ice. Sophie is walking down the pier. She spots a cute boat and decides to paint it. She asks the 2 guys standing nearby, "Who's the owner of this boat? Can I paint it?" Both guys like Sophie and want to impress her. So they both shout, "This is my boat. Can you help Sophie figure out the real owner?" There's a blue jacket on the chair in the boat that matches the pants of the guy on the left. So, he's the owner. Sophie has painted a beautiful picture, and the boat owner wants to buy it. He gives her a box with gemstones. All but 2 are blue, all but 2 are green, and all but 2 are red. How many gemstones are in the box? He gave Sophie a total of 3 gemstones, 1 blue, 1 green, and 1 red. Sophie visits Paul's house, and he offers her an apple that seems very delicious. She can't resist, but after taking a bite, Sophie finds a worm in the apple. Paul apologizes, but Sophie says, "Don't worry, it could be even worse." Can you guess what could be worse? Sophie could have found a half of worm. The next morning, Sophie enters the classroom. She sees Nina claiming that she had painted this portrait. Sophie gets furious and says, "You're a liar! It's my work!" Can you spot the real author? Nina signed this work in the right upper corner. But take a closer look at the lower left corner. We can still see the name Sophie under a layer of fresh paint. Therefore, Sophie painted this portrait. Sophie brings some of her recent works to an art gallery hoping to sell them. The dealer says, "Sorry, but we only sell antique drawings. They should be at least 300 years old." Sophie says, "Liar," and leaves. Can you guess why? Take a look at this painting. This elegant medieval lady has a sports car parked in her backyard. Sophie's brother Mike lives in the country with his wife. Sophie wants to visit them next weekend, but this week, Mike's wife is feeling very sick. Mike calls Sophie and says, "Sorry, we can't host you. My wife is sick. She might have appendicitis." Sophie replies, "This can't be true. I took your wife to the hospital 2 years ago myself, and she had her appendix removed." When diagnosed, Mike's wife was found to have appendicitis. Can you explain this mystery? It's possible because Mike had remarried and forgot to tell Sophie. Sophie is heading to the classroom and finds her art teacher, Mr. Wolf, unconscious on the floor. She takes him to the hospital. According to doctors, he has a severe allergic reaction. But Mr. Wolf insists that he hadn't eaten anything all day. Sophie interrogates everyone who was around Mr. Wolf that day. The cleaning lady says, "I wash the class in the morning. I only use organic and allergy-friendly products." Nina says, "I was painting vases in the classroom all day. Mr. Wolf was there too, but I didn't see him eating any food." And Paul says, "I saw Mr. Wolf in the library early in the morning. He was looking perfectly fine." Can you guess who caused Mr. Wolf's allergy? The cleaning lady. Although she used allergy-friendly products, she put the pencils in a jar with paint remover while cleaning his desk. Later that day, Mr. Wolf took one of these toxic pencils, chewed it, and got sick. Sophie returns back to the art school to prepare an exhibition. She's standing at the center of a ladder, preparing to hang a poster on the wall. She climbs up 6 steps, but suddenly the ladder begins to stagger, forcing her to come down 10 steps. Sophie asks Paul to hold the ladder and climbs 18 steps to the very top. Can you count the total number of steps on this ladder? Let's say that the middle step number is x. From the middle step, Sophie goes up 6 steps, which is x plus 6. Then she goes down 10 steps, and she's now at x minus 4. After that, Sophie goes up 18 steps, so she's now at x plus 14, or at the very top of the ladder. 14 steps from the top, plus 14 steps from the bottom, plus the middle step, and we get 29 steps. The art exhibition is going well. Hundreds of people came over to see it. Suddenly, someone cuts the power for a moment, and when it's back again, Sophie sees that the most expensive sculpture is missing. Can you help her find the thief? This elegant lady on the left. Her bag is looking full now, and it's hanging on the opposite shoulder. 3 art dealers approach Sophie during the exhibition to offer collaboration. Isabella shows her a picture of a beautiful villa on her phone and says, "Young lady, you must come to my art residence in Italy this summer. I'm ready to cover all your expenses." Sebastian says, "Darling, I'd love to buy 2 of your paintings for my private collection. Do you accept checks?" And Tina says, "I have a new book coming out this fall. Would you like to draw illustrations?" Only one of these deals is not fake. Can you help Sophie figure out which one? There are Hollywood Hills in the background of this villa, so it's definitely not in Italy. Therefore, Isabella is a liar. Sebastian acts like he's wealthy, but at the same time, he's trying to steal Tina's phone, so he's probably a scammer. Therefore, Sophie should accept Tina's offer. Sophie gets her first salary and goes to the jewelry shop to treat herself. The shop owner, Maya, complains, "There were several thefts in my shop this week." Sophie offers to help find the thief. First of all, she watches security camera videos. Very soon, she spots who is stealing the jewelry. Can you see him or her too? This lady is hiding the jewelry in her umbrella.
Henry and Mia lived together in New York. They wanted to run away from big city life and celebrate their anniversary in the wild. So the guys used a special online service and found 3 available options nearby. Bob offered his cozy treehouse in the woods for a reasonable price. Julia offered this fancy geodesic dome with all conveniences. It's a 2-hour drive away from New York, and Crystal offered an old mansion that she'd inherited from her granny. Can you help the guys make the right choice? Take a closer look at the picture of the dome. It's located near the Leaning Tower of Pisa, which means this property is in Italy, and it can't be 2 hours away from New York. And Crystal's granny's ghost is still in the house, so Mia and Henry should choose the treehouse. The guys contacted Bob, booked the house, and hit the road. Mia is a famous blogger, so she decided to post all milestones of their journey in her stories. Can you spot any differences between these 2 pictures? Here they are. What about these 2 pictures? There are 3 differences. What can you say about these 2? Can you see 3 differences? Here they are. While the guys were driving along a highway, someone threw a can of paint into their car. Mia and Henry stopped at the nearest car wash and interviewed 4 other drivers. Bill said,
My truck has to be perfect. I'm going on a date this evening.
Jack said, I'm going to meet my business partner at the airport. I want to leave a good impression. Lily said, Honestly, I don't need to have my car washed. I just stopped here to visit the restroom. Ryan said, My boss gave me this coupon so that I could wash my car for free. Who stained Henry and Mia's car? Lily. Her right hand is stained with the paint of the same color, and besides, she has a print of Mia's face on her t-shirt. She's definitely obsessed with her. The guys washed their car and continued on their journey. They had to choose one of these 3 roads to reach their destination. The first one went through toxic swamps. People often get lost in that area. The second path went near a river with creepy sirens. Their singing made everyone jump into the water. And a band of angry robbers was waiting on the 3rd road. Which way should the guys opt for? The second one. They can close all the windows, turn some music on, and drive past the sirens very fast. Mia suggested visiting the farmer's market to buy some fresh produce for their romantic weekend. When they entered the marketplace, 3 sellers offered them apples, but only one deal was safe enough. Can you help the guys make the right choice? Seller number 1 offers very old apples. Take a look at the date on the box. They expired 5 years ago. Seller number 3 offers very beautiful apples. But pay attention to his assistant. She's putting shoe polish on the apples to make them look better. So, Mia and Henry should pick the second seller. Henry and Mia left the market and put all their purchases into the car. Suddenly, Henry realized that he'd left a bag with cabbage at the farmer's stall. He returned but couldn't find the bag. Henry questioned 3 people he saw nearby. Vera said, I only eat fruit, mister. See, I've got bananas and apples. Bella said, Yes, I saw your bag. The seller put the cabbage back on the shelf. And the seller said, I don't know what's going on here. I spent the last 10 minutes in the bathroom. Who's lying? Vera. She hid the cabbage under her elegant hat. Finally, the guys reached their destination. The treehouse is even better than in the photo, but can you spot anything weird in this picture? This raccoon is wearing sunglasses. The owner of the treehouse, Bob, lives in another country, and the house is located 15 miles away from the village and other people. That's why Bob installed a special digital clock on the door. When Henry booked the property, Bob gave him a 6-digit password. But unfortunately, Henry had lost it. Here's a hint. M80. Can you help the guy crack the code? These symbols are mirrored digits. Split them apart and you'll get the code 1133CC. The guys unlocked the door. But as soon as Mia entered the living room, she got very scared. She asked Henry to call the police. Why? The treehouse is in the middle of nowhere. Who lit the candles and the fire? The house was locked. Henry checked all the rooms, but found no clues. What about you? Any ideas who that could be? That roof window is open. Someone crawled inside the house before the guy's arrival, and now that someone is hiding under the bed. See? The guys called the police. Officers promised to arrive within an hour. Mia decided to take a shower. When she returned to the living room, she realized that Henry had disappeared. Mia searched the garden, then checked all the rooms in the house, and returned to the garden again. But she failed to find any clues. Can you help her? The hot tub was open when Mia began her search, but now it's closed. Pretty suspicious. Mia was walking through the garden. Suddenly, a man in a mask popped out of nowhere and pushed her. Mia stepped on a trap and fell into a deep well. She yelled, "Please help me out!" No one answered, but Mia's phone pinged. The masked man offered her to play a game. Otherwise, she'd have to stay in the well forever. Here's the first riddle. I come in many different colors, and I get bigger when I'm full. I will float away if you don't tie me down, and I will make a loud sound if I break. What am I? Mia nailed it immediately. What about you? The correct answer is a balloon. Here's the second question. I can jump and I can climb. With many legs, I swing from tree to tree. I can make a house much bigger than me. What am I? Have you guessed? It's a spider. And the final question. I come out at night without being called. I'm lost in the day without being stolen. What am I? Can you help Mia? The correct answer is a star. A hatch opened at the bottom of the well. Mia went through it and got into a creepy basement. There, she found 3 ways to freedom, but every door hid some danger. A fire-breathing dragon was sleeping behind the first door. The corridor behind the second door was filled with high-voltage wires. And a vampire was waiting behind the third door. Suddenly, a message appeared on the screen of the girl's phone. Hurry up! Soon the walls will close in and smash you. Which way should Mia choose? She should wait until the walls are close enough so that she can scare the vampires away with this stake and go through the third door. When the police arrived at the treehouse, they found Mia and Henry at the porch. Henry had just woken up. The robbers had put sleeping pills in his coffee. The officers searched the area and found some clues. They concluded that the criminals were planning to leave the country by train. Unfortunately, no one knew what they looked like or how big the group was, so they stopped 4 suspicious people at the railway station and examined their baggage. Can you figure out who's innocent? Why would a bald man need shampoo? And this supposedly blind person has a flashlight. This guy is carrying 3 tubes of toothpaste, but no single toothbrush. It seems that only the third guy isn't a criminal. 3 friends lived not far from one another and often met to drink some coffee together. Their names were Mr. Blue, Mr. Red, and Mr. White. One day, they noticed that under their coats, they were wearing t-shirts of different colors: red, blue, and white. Mr. Blue said, "Hey, Mr. White, have you noticed that we're all wearing colors that are different from our actual names?" The man wearing the white shirt answered, "Wow, you're right. Can you figure out the shirt of which color each of them was wearing?" Mr. Blue can only be wearing white or red, but we've already learned that someone else is wearing the white shirt. That means that Mr. Blue can only be wearing the red shirt, and Mr. White can only be wearing a blue or red shirt. And the red shirt is already taken, so Mr. White is wearing the blue shirt. Then Mr. Red is wearing the white shirt. Mia and Henry decided to spend the night in a hotel nearby. The manager said that they only had 3 free rooms. Can you help the guys choose the best option? This room doesn't have any doors. That's weird. And this room has a cracked mirror on the ceiling. It's too risky. The second option looks pretty safe and nice. The guys checked in, and Henry asked Mia, "Well, where do you want to go now?" She answered with this riddle: "You used to visit me when you needed to know, but I've been lonely since the internet was born. What am I?" Have you guessed? The correct answer is a library. In the library, the guys met these 4 students. One of them is broke. Can you guess who? Student number 3. Her uniform is too large for her body. It must have belonged to her sister. Carol was invited to a Halloween party in an abandoned house. Her friends asked if she was up for a challenge, and she said yes. Soon enough, she was locked inside a room. In this room, there was 1 door and 3 light switches next to it. Behind the door, there was an empty closet with nothing but a light bulb. Her task was to figure out which switch controlled the light bulb inside the closet. She could flip the switches however she wanted, but once she opened the door, she couldn't touch the switches anymore. Sometime later, she managed to get it right. How did Carol do it? Okay, let's go step by step. She flipped switch number 1, then waited for a few minutes. Then, she flipped it back to off and immediately flipped switch number 2. Then, she opened the door and checked the light. It was turned off. So she realized it wasn't switch number 2 that controlled the light. She decided to touch the bulb to test if it was hot or cold. If the bulb was cold, it would mean that switch number 3 controlled it. But the bulb was hot, so that meant that switch number 1 controlled it. Way to go, Carol! To get back to the party, Carol had to solve another riddle. There were 2 hourglasses in front of her. One hourglass measured 7 minutes, and the other measured 4 minutes. She needed to time 9 minutes using both hourglasses. How could she do it? First, she turned over both hourglasses at the same time. By the time the 4-minute hourglass was done, the other one still had 3 minutes left. Carol flipped the 4-minute hourglass over again. By the time the 7-minute hourglass was empty, there was 1 minute left on the other hourglass. And by the time the 4-minute hourglass emptied again, there was 1 minute's worth of sand in the bottom half of the 7-minute timer. She flipped it over again, so there was 1 minute's worth of sand in the top part of the hourglass. And when the 7-minute timer finally emptied again, 9 minutes had passed in total. Phew! That took some work. Someone stole a rare diamond from Mrs. Monica Fraser's house. Mrs. Fraser claimed she'd walked into her bedroom one morning and found that the glass box in her dressing room had been broken and the diamond had been gone. She called a detective, who soon arrived at her place and asked some questions. Based on his inquiries, he gathered 3 suspects. Mrs. Fraser's gardener, Steve, had the key to the house. Her cousin Sophia was staying with her for the week, and the cleaning lady Adeline cleaned the house every day. Steve said he was on holiday that week, so he wasn't anywhere near the house when it had happened. Sophia said she didn't even know her cousin had a diamond hidden in her house. And Adeline said that she'd been cleaning the house at around 10 p.m. the previous night. Everything had seemed all right. Who stole the jewelry? It was the cleaning lady. It seems that right after she broke the glass and stole the diamond, she also wiped off the pieces of glass left on the floor. On a cold winter day, Jason woke up after a medical procedure. He was lying in bed when the doctor walked into his room, saying there were 3 women outside claiming to be his wife. All 3 of them wanted to see Jason, but only his wife was allowed to do so. Look at the women. Which one do you think is telling the truth? The woman wearing a white shirt is the only one that has a ring on her left finger. She's the wife. It was a lazy Sunday morning, and John was having breakfast in the kitchen. Suddenly, he heard glass shattering. He walked into the living room and saw that someone had just broken one of his windows. He was mad and decided to go outside to see if he could find the culprit. There were only 3 people in the street, so he talked to each of them. The first was one of his neighbor's children. He was coming back from his football practice, holding a ball in his hands. He said he'd been going home at the time of the incident. The second person was Stephen, John's neighbor and longtime friend. He was carrying a toolbox. The man said he decided to come home to fix John's window. The last person was Julio, a mailman. He was riding his bike, throwing newspapers on people's front lawns. He said it had been hours since he'd passed John's house. Soon enough, John figured out who had done it. How? It was the mailman. If you look at the lawn, the newspaper is lying on the grass beneath the window. He threw the newspaper towards the mailbox, but missed it, and it hit John's window. Whoops. It was a stormy night. Kate and her boyfriend stayed up late watching a soap opera. In the middle of it, there was a weather forecast. The weather lady said it would keep raining for 2 more days, but in 72 hours, it'd be bright and sunny. Kate turned to her boyfriend and said that the weather lady was wrong, and the girl was right. Why? Because in 72 hours, it will also be nighttime, so it can't possibly be bright and sunny. It was Amelia's dream to go skydiving, but she was afraid of heights. One day, her friend took her to fulfill her dream. Amelia jumped from an airplane without a parachute and didn't get hurt. How is that possible? The plane wasn't flying, it was still on the ground. Duh. Dave, an archaeologist, traveled to Egypt on a very special mission. He spent days excavating ruins hidden under the sand, and the only thing he found was a coin marked 10 BCE. When he showed it to his colleagues, they told him the coin was a fake. Why? Well, because the designation BCE didn't appear until after the beginning of our era. It was raining when Mrs. Moore called the police. She said someone had just bumped into her car and driven away. When the police arrived, the only person next to the place of the incident was a man fixing his tire. Mrs. Moore said that that was the car that had bumped into hers. However, the gentleman said that it couldn't be true because he'd been busy fixing his car the whole time. Can you tell who's lying? It's the guy fixing his car. The rain started just recently. If he'd been fixing his car this whole time, the ground underneath it would be dry. But look, it's wet. This means he's just arrived there and is actually the one responsible for the incident. 4 friends decided to meet up for coffee one afternoon. Someone asked which one of them was the oldest, and they answered with a riddle. Mia is 3 times older than Anna, but 3 years ago, Anna was a year younger than Claudia is now, and Olivia is twice as old as Anna. So can you put the girls into order by age? The correct order is Mia, Olivia, Anna, and Claudia. Here's a quick one. What belongs to you, but others use it more often? Your name. Outside a fancy palace, 2 sentinels were guarding the main gate. They were standing, looking in different directions, one towards the west and the other towards the east. At some point, one of the sentinels asked the other, "What are you smiling about?" How could he know that his colleague was smiling? Well, despite the fact that they were looking in different directions, they weren't standing back to back. They were facing each other. Kevin was away on business and had to spend the night in a hotel. After a full day of meetings, he returned to his room to get some rest. He went to bed but couldn't fall asleep. After tossing and turning in bed for hours, he called someone, didn't say a word, and then finally fell asleep. Who did Kevin call? And how could he finally fall asleep? He called the room next door, as his neighbor was snoring very loudly. The ringing woke the neighbor up, the snoring stopped, and Kevin managed to doze off. You've just come back from a long vacation. There, you bought a new suitcase to store all the new things you got, but you don't remember the code. Luckily, you left yourself a note on your cell phone to help you decipher the code to open the lock. 682. One digit is right and in its place. 614. One digit is right but in the wrong place. 206. 2 digits are right but both are in the wrong place. 768. All digits are wrong. 380. 1 digit is right, but in the wrong place. What's the 3-digit code? Zero, 4, 2. Susan found out that her favorite pop band was playing a private concert for VIP clients in a luxurious club. She decided to sneak inside through the back door. But, unfortunately, Susan came across a strict guard behind the door. He refused to let Susan inside without a password. But, luckily for her, there was a hint on the guard's t-shirt. The hint was to infinity plus BD. Susan deciphered the hint and was allowed to enter. Can you guess what the password was? It was to infinity and beyond. After the concert, Susan met up with her friend Bobby. Bobby was an expert in ghost activity. He invited Susan to go ghost hunting to a creepy old hotel. Of course, Bobby had state-of-the-art equipment. Once they arrived at the hotel, his equipment indicated there was strong paranormal activity going on. It looked like the ghost had a sense of humor and wanted to play hide-and-seek with them before it revealed itself. It led Bobby and Susan into a room with 4 doors. Each door had an inscription on it with some clues. The sign on door A said, "It's behind B or C." The sign on door B claimed, "It's behind A or D." Door C said, "It's in here." And door D stated, "The ghost isn't here." Bobby and Susan looked very confused until a note appeared next to their feet. It said, "3 of the inscriptions are false and 1 is true." Can you guess which door leads to the ghost? Let's see how this works. If the ghost was behind door A, then both statements B and D would be true. If it was behind door B, then both A and D would be true. If the ghost was behind door C, then A, C, and D would be all true. But if the ghost was behind door D, then the statements on all the doors would be false, except for that on door B. This fits the rules, so the ghost must be behind door D. The next morning, Bobby called Susan again, saying that he had a surprise. He had won 2 tickets to Susan's favorite theme park and asked her if she wanted to go. Before she answered, though, Bobby warned her that she had to crack a very difficult riddle. Only then would he give her a ticket. She agreed. For a school challenge, 100 students received a number between 1 and 100. Each student was instructed to go inside a classroom that had exactly 100 boxes randomly numbered from 1 to 100. Inside each box, there was a slip of paper with a random number between 1 and 100 on it. Now, each student needed to enter the classroom on their own and find the box that contained the slip of paper with their number on it. But in order to do so, each of them was only allowed to open a maximum of 50 boxes. They were instructed to leave the room exactly as they found it, and they weren't allowed to communicate with other students once they'd left the room. If all of the students managed to find their numbers inside the boxes, they would each get $100. But if one of them wasn't able to find their number, none of them would be able to win the prize. Bobby asked Susan if she knew the best strategy for all of the students to find their numbers and win the prize. After a few hours, Susan called Bobby with the answer. She managed to figure out the riddle. Can you guess what she answered? This riddle isn't obvious, but let's see how it works. If each student searched for their numbers randomly, they would each have a 50% chance of finding the box with their number inside. This is because there were 100 boxes and they were allowed to look inside 50 of them. However, the probability of all of them finding their own number following this random strategy is absurdly small. So, to increase their chances of collectively finding their numbers, they would need a better approach. The students could use something called the loop strategy. After entering the classroom, they should go directly toward the box that has their number on top of it. The number inside probably won't be their number, but that's okay. They should check the number inside the box and go look for the box with that same number on top of it, and so on and so forth. They should keep doing this until they find the paper with their number on it. This strategy means there's more than a 30% chance of the students finding their numbers and winning the prize. It's not a huge probability, but hey, at least they'll have fun trying to figure it out. One afternoon, Susan found her father, Frank, in the living room. Frank was a private investigator and he had just received a message revealing the address of the town's most dangerous criminal, Dirty Jack. He decided to go check the area, even though he didn't know what the criminal looked like. The address turned out to be an old warehouse. When he busted inside, he found 4 people sitting at a table. They were a carpenter, a truck driver, a mechanic, and a firefighter. Without any hesitation, Frank arrested the firefighter. How did he know it was the criminal? The firefighter was the only man in the room. The rest of the people were women. Bobby and Susan decided to go grab a cup of coffee. But when their orders arrived, Bobby's drink came with a fly in it. He called the waiter and asked him to change his cup. The waiter brought him another cup of coffee, but 2 seconds later, Bobby called the waiter again and said, "Hey, that's the same cup." How did he know? Because Bobby had already put sugar in his coffee. And when he tasted the new drink, it already had sugar in it. Susan and her family went on vacation to their country house, but unfortunately, it was raining heavily. It kept raining for 13 days. When it rained in the morning, the afternoon was beautiful and clear. And when it rained in the afternoon, the next day was blessed with a clear, sunny morning. Overall, Susan's family experienced 11 nice mornings and 12 nice afternoons. Can you find out the total number of days they spent in the country house? The total number is 18 days. Here's how you can figure it out. Let's call clear afternoons X, clear mornings Y, and periods of time with no rain O. This equation represents the number of days with rain, X plus Y equals 13. And here are the days with clear mornings, Y plus O equals 11. And this equation represents the days with clear afternoons, X plus O equals 12. If we solve these three equations, we'll learn that X equals 7, Y equals 6, and O equals 5. So the total number of days is 18. Bobby started his morning by jogging in the park near his house. When he returned, he got to know some very unpleasant news. Someone had stolen his car. He questioned 3 of his neighbors. Henry said,
"I've been playing video games for the past 12 hours and haven't left my basement."
Rosie said,
I'm a gardener. I've been planting daisies in the public area all morning, and I think I saw a suspicious man who opened the car using a knife.
Jack said,
"I saw your car when I went out for groceries, but when I returned home, it was gone."
Who's lying? Rosie. She said she planted daisies, but look, there are only rose bushes in this area. One day, Susan found a box on her desk with a note that read, "What can run but never walks, has a mouth but never speaks, has a head but never weeps, has a bed but never sleeps." Can you decipher this riddle? The correct answer is a river.
The other day, Mike had a dentist appointment. When he came to the dentist's office, he saw 2 doors leading to the rooms. The administrator was away, so Mike decided to find the right room himself. He opened the right door first, and then he checked the left room too. Where was the real dentist? The real dentist was behind the left door. Look, the dentist stands over the chair and holds a dental instrument in his hands. In the chair, there's a teenager who's having his teeth professionally cleaned. But behind the right door, the dentist is holding a tattooing machine. A teen in that room is looking at him with suspicion. Jennifer was exploring some spooky old house, looking for fancy antique things. Some hours later, she got tired and decided to have a quick lunch, which she had packed in the morning. She went to the dining room with a large table and 3 chairs, lit the candles, and was about to take a seat. But all of a sudden, she spotted something weird about most of the chairs in that room. What chair should Jennifer sit on? Jennifer was super attentive. That's why she sat on the chair in the middle. The one on the left has a sharp nail sticking out, and the one on the right is already taken. Look, there's a ghost sitting on it. Stuart was taking the final cooking exam. He has always wanted to be a chef, and he was about to take one step closer to his dream. The professor said the one who answered all his questions would get the certificate with honors and the money prize of $10,000. The most important thing is that this person will also be offered a sous chef position at one of the most prestigious restaurants in Paris. All the students answered 19 questions, and the professor read the last and the most complicated one. What product will never be salty when you boil it, no matter how much salt you add? 2 days later, Stuart was on his way to Paris. He was the only one to know the answer. What product was the professor talking about? It's an egg in the shell. No matter how much salt there is in the water, the boiled egg won't be salty. Fiona left her husband a shopping list for him to go to the supermarket. These guys are really into riddles, so the list was full of them. Fiona wanted Mark to buy something that has eyes but can't see, something that has ears but can't hear, and the wealthiest nuts. What did Fiona want Mark to buy? Fiona needed some potatoes, corn, and cashews. Jenny was locked in a room with 15 other people. Each of them could see the entire room and all the people inside without turning their head or body or moving in any other way. To get out of the room, Jenny had to place an orange in such a way that everyone but one person could see it. The girl managed to do it. But how? She put the orange on one person's head. A notorious bad guy caught wealthy businessman Brian and locked him in a room. "I won't let you go until you double the money I'll leave for you." And the criminal put $5,000 on the table. By the time he returned, Brian had already doubled the money. He hadn't left the room or communicated with anyone. Then how did he do it? He put the money in front of the mirror. Early in the morning, Ashton got a call from his friend, an owner of a big company. The man was in distress. A very important contract had disappeared from his office. It had been on the desk the evening before, but nowhere to be found in the morning. Ashton immediately headed to the office to question the employees. In no time, he had 3 suspects. Ben said he had spent the previous evening at the movies. Mason had taken his girlfriend out to dinner, and Jesse had been invited to a party. It didn't take Liam long to understand who was lying. It was Ben. His ticket wasn't torn, so he didn't actually go to the movies. Right before a restaurant was about to open, someone stole all the money from the office. A detective arrived for interrogation. A cook said that he was working hard and didn't have time to walk or gaze around, so he didn't see anything. The security guy said that he was in the bathroom and didn't steal anything. The waiter said he remembered seeing one visitor heading to the office. Somehow he ignored it and didn't stop them. The waiter got arrested for stealing the money. Why? The restaurant wasn't open yet. There could be no visitors. Blake was a writer applying for a job in a fashion magazine. However, the boss was a whimsical woman. Blake did the interview well, but still, the woman didn't want to hire her because Blake was too young. The boss poured some water into a glass and asked Blake to get her some apple juice to fail her. However, there were 2 conditions. She wanted the water in the glass, but didn't want it to mix with the juice. Still, Blake figured out how to do it and got the job. How? She just put the glass in the freezer and waited till the water got frozen, then she poured the juice on top of it. Della was having a birthday party. She invited 3 people over and got 3 presents, a pair of heels, a bag of makeup, and golden earrings. However, Eloise didn't like one of the presents. Can you guess which one and why? She didn't like the golden earrings just because she couldn't wear them. Her ears aren't pierced. Well, maybe she will consider piercing them. Jason is making pizza for his family, and Savannah went outside to make some grilled vegetables. Which one of them does something wrong? Jason. He forgot to turn on the oven. James was a famous detective who could crack even the hardest cases. Once, he was investigating a case and found some crucial evidence. The next morning, he woke up in a well. It was old, deep, but luckily not filled with water, but quite dusty. On the flip side, there was no way he could get out to the surface. Suddenly, James saw his main suspect's face at the top of the well. "You won't live long enough to rat me out," the man shouted. And then, the detective felt soil falling on his head. The bad guy was going to bury him alive. But in an hour, James was already out of the well and running away. How did he manage to get out? The detective started to shake off and tamp down the soil that was falling into the well. He was getting closer and closer to the surface until he managed to jump out and run away. Jane was walking home late. She was pretty tired, so she decided to take a bus. It was midnight, but the bus was packed with people. You get a gut feeling later that there's something wrong with some of these people. Who's a zombie? There are 20 people on the bus. There are 2 zombies among them. A man on the right has a bit of a bandage on his arm, and the woman next to the window seems to be groaning all the time. All the people in town thought Jack wasn't smart enough. Every time somebody offered him a 50c coin or a $1 bill, he would always choose the 50c coin. Many people every day would offer him to do it, but he never grabbed the bill. Why was Jack smart? Jack was actually pretty smart because he would get money without doing anything. As long as he agreed to get less money for no reason, people would come and try his trick again and again. See that car? Jack's been refusing $1 bills for over 10 years now, so he saved up enough money to get a car. You find yourself in a photo gallery. After looking at the wall, you realize that one of the pictures doesn't belong. You see a raccoon, a llama, a football, and a balloon. Can you tell which is the odd one out? You have 7 seconds to guess. It's the llama picture. The other 3 objects have 2 double letters in their names, but the llama only has 1 double. And trust me, don't get too close to the llama. They might spit in your face. It's not fun. You have 3 matches. Can you make a 6 out of them without breaking them into pieces? Who said the number 5 has to be a standard 6? The matches made a perfect Roman numeral 3 right from the get-go. So all you have to do is bring the bottoms of the first 2 matches toward each other, and you've got a Roman numeral 6. It's your first day in the new office. Some colleagues don't seem really friendly, and you can't understand why. They also act strange, never have coffee breaks, and work at least 12 hours a day. A secretary at the reception desk, Lauren, tells that their company hires robots sometimes because they work harder than people and aren't addicted to coffee. She also says to stay away from them and try not to talk to them or even greet them because they can be unpredictable sometimes. It's quite easy to tell who's a robot. Can you guess who's a robot among these 3 people? Anna, Mike, and Lucy? It's Mike. He's the only one among 3 people who have a switch on the right.
Sarah was in her hotel room when she heard a knock on the door. When she looked through the peephole, she saw a man standing outside. "Sorry for bothering you. I'm the hotel manager," he said. "Our database has crashed, and I need to recheck some information." Sarah said she would be back in a moment, got away from the door, and called the hotel security. She said there is a man trying to rob her. How did she know? Look at the man's name tag. It's a female name. He's not the real hotel manager. When Anna got to school, she noticed that her friend Joan was very upset. It was just the beginning of the day, but someone had already stolen her backpack. Joan left the classroom to go to the bathroom, and at that moment, someone must have got inside and stolen her things. Anna started her own investigation. Jenna from the robotics lab said she'd been fixing a robot that morning. Kate from the cheerleading squad had just begun her practice, and James said he'd spent 3 hours trying to solve a math problem and was now exhausted. Anna knew right away who had taken the backpack. Can you figure it out? It was James. The school day had just started. How could he have been there for 3 hours already? On a beautiful morning, Michael and Christina went on a hike. At some point, they saw a river they had to cross. Both of them needed to get to the other side. However, the boat could only make one trip back and forth and take one of them at a time. Still, both of them managed to get across. How? That's easy. They both went on a hike on the same day, but they weren't together, so they arrived at the river at the same time, but they were on the opposite banks. So after the boat took Christina to the other side of the river, Michael managed to get to the opposite bank too. At a party, there were 9 candies in a box. 9 people took 9 candies, but 1 candy was still in the box. How could that be possible? The last person took the candy that was still in the box. When the day after tomorrow becomes yesterday, then today will be as far from Sunday as the day it was today when the day before yesterday was tomorrow. Which day is it? It's Sunday. Look, the day after tomorrow becomes yesterday on Wednesday. The day before yesterday was tomorrow on Thursday. And Wednesday and Thursday are equally far from Sunday. Susanna was walking down the street when she saw a dog. It looked like the dog had just run away, so she picked it up and started searching for its owner. She walked into a co-working space. There were 3 people there. Susanna knew immediately who the owner was. How did she figure it out? Look at the guy in the middle. He's sitting on top of a dog leash. It was Brian's birthday, and he organized a game for his friends. He placed 2 cards, 1 yellow and 1 red, inside a box. The rule said that if a person picked the red card, they would win $7,000, but if they picked the yellow card, they would have to pay $700. Nobody knew that Brian had lied. He'd put 2 yellow cards inside the box instead of 1 red and 1 yellow. Brian's friend Sandra watched her friends lose the game one by one. But when it was Sandra's turn, she won $7,000. How? When it was her turn, she picked one of the yellow cards, not showing it to anyone. Then, she picked the remaining card, which was also yellow, and showed it to her friends. Brian had to admit that the first card she'd drawn and hidden was red. Otherwise, all his friends would know he was a liar. Way to go, Sandra. Amy has to escape from a high-security room, but to do so, she has to solve a riddle. There are 2 strings in the room, and the only information she has is that each string takes exactly 1 hour to burn. She needs to time exactly 45 minutes with the help of the strings. How can she do it? Amy should light both ends of the first string and one end of the second string. In 30 minutes, the first string will burn completely since it'll burn twice faster with both ends on fire. Then, she should light the second end of the second string. At that time, the second string will have 30 minutes left to burn. But by lighting its other end, Amy will make it burn in 15 minutes. Voila! 45 minutes measured. On January 1st, Devin called the police to report a crime. He said he'd gone to his neighbor's New Year's Eve party the night before. And while he was away, someone broke into his house and stole his laptop and other valuables. When the police asked about the party, Devin said it had been great. There was good food and string lights were shining brightly and beautifully. Devin added that his neighbor could have been the one to steal his things. Maybe he snuck inside the house when Devin was at his place, having fun. The police officer went to interrogate Devin's neighbor, Tom. But as soon as Tom opened the door, the officer knew he wasn't guilty. Devin was lying. How did he understand this? Look at the string lights on the tree. They're missing 3 bulbs. It means they couldn't be working the night before. Devin is lying. Matthew was on an expedition to the South Pole. He had been exploring the area for days when a storm began. Looking for shelter, he managed to find 2 caves. In the first cave, there was a very hungry-looking polar bear. In the second cave, the air was filled with toxic gas. Which cave should he choose? The first cave. Polar bears don't live at the South Pole. Jerry has an apple tree. The number of apples on his tree doubles every week. 30 weeks later, the tree is completely covered in fruit. Can you guess how many weeks the tree will need to become covered in oranges? Oranges don't grow on apple trees, but if I asked you about apples, the answer would be 29 weeks, because, as we know, the number of apples doubles every week. Nobody has ever walked this way. What way is it? The Milky Way. Dave was held in a 150-foot high tower of an ancient castle. In his cell, there was nothing other than a pair of scissors and a 75-foot long rope. Despite this, when the guards came to check on him the next morning, they saw he had managed to escape. How did he do it? He cut the rope in the middle, but rather than cutting it across, he cut it along. Then, he tied both pieces of the rope together and safely got down to the ground. Genius, huh? On the outskirts of the town, there was a haunted house. A group of friends decided to check it out. They went there at night, but as soon as they got there, one of the friends, John, refused to go inside and tried to stop the others. But they just laughed at him and went inside, leaving him behind. There were several terrible crashing sounds coming from the house. And then everything went still. John never saw his friends again. How did John understand that there was something seriously wrong with the house? John was very attentive. He noticed that there were lots of footprints leading towards the house, but none going away. Rachel was in her office when security called her, saying there was a robber in the building and he was trying to escape. She ran to the elevators to get outside. But 2 elevators arrived at the same time. In each of them, there was a man that looked suspicious and could be the robber. How can Rachel understand which elevator is safe to take? The one that's going up. If the robber is trying to get out of the building, his elevator will be going down. So Rachel should take the one going up.